Forgetting Ashville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Ashville. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now let's forget our troubles. Last time on Forgetting Ashville, Lola and Dan brought the hand grubbler to return to the Heseal through a locust in the church. The two discovered an infestation of rat monsters known as beshilu chewing on the gauntlet between the shadow and the material realm. The two fought the monsters, but ultimately chose to make an escape from the growing swarm. Jesse learned about a possible way to take others with him into the Heseal, and overheard worrying intel about the Order of the Toolmaker. Aviva and John managed to convince Trooper Estrada that they were all on the same side, and shared information. Aviva learned of a connection between the final girl and Ashville, causing the Geist to lose control. Jesse, it's the end of the night. You had your conversation with June. It's late now, and that level of just weariness, right, of who knows, because of everything that happened with the hedge and the cabin, like, who knows how long you guys have been awake. You've actually managed to get some food, but, like, starting to turn in, and June just looks over at you and is like, hey, you need to go get some rest, boy. Like, do you have a place to stay tonight, or are you...
Oh, yeah.
Who's with the... Okay, I just want to make sure... You got enough to eat? I can make you some more for the road, or...
Oh, no, I had a little bit in between cooking things on the shift.
Okay. She gives you that, like, sort of matronly concerned look, like, I believe you, but I wish there was something that I could be doing, like, if I could just put a sandwich in your hand, I would feel better.
He gives her a roguish smile, snatches up a tray, and goes, I'm just going to do one more pass around the alley, make sure everything else is picked up, and then I'll get out of your... I'll go get some rest, make you feel better. How about that?
Yeah, that would... Sure, you know, she ignores...
He winks at her and gives her a finger gun, and goes,
she ignores the make you feel better comment, yep. But just does, and you step outside into the dark.
Well, actually, so he goes around into the alley for just to do one final pass through.
Sure.
Over the course of the night, did anybody happen to maybe leave a jacket behind or anything like that?
Yes.
As he's going through, he's picking up like final glasses and beer cans, stuff like that, and will snatch up that jacket and to bring it over to like the lost and found.
Sure.
But he's also going to go once over it, and maybe one of those pins was left on the jacket?
It was. This is sort of like a brown, sort of professorial sport coat almost. Yeah. Like, this is the fancy thing that they wear to the meetings, but, you know, whatever. Right. And right on the lapel is one of those little, like, brass pins with that stylized skull with the cog in its
forehead. Through the pockets on the jacket, is there anything else of note that's left behind on this jacket? Nothing
other than just a little scrap of paper that talks about when the next lodge meeting is, which is in just a few nights from now. And then underneath, like a memento, whoever's jacket this is, like a reminder to themselves, like, oh, bring this up at the lodge meeting. It just says Founder's Day.
He kind of frowns at that a little bit, but pockets the note, and he's going to undo the pin and take that and also put that in his pocket.
Okay. Just put it in your pocket, or like affix it?
No, he's going to put it in his pocket.
Cool.
The jacket itself will go into the lost and found, and he'll drop off all of the remaining glasses and cans in the proper places.
Done.
Wave to Aunt and Grandma, and head out into the night.
You step outside into the parking lot. June has turned the lights off already. Bar's closed, bowling alley's closed. Not that there would be anybody really around at this point anyways. Just taking that breath of, like, when you step out of a place that smells like fry grease and people, and you get that, like, fresh night air feeling. And, your first breath, looking up, there is just barely a sliver of moon left.
Fuck.
You sort of thinking back, right? Like, at the cabin, talk of, like, missing time, and then Lola, before you guys went into the hedge, talking about how time is fluid. You thought you had more time, right? You're somebody who doesn't usually let that get away from you. But maybe tomorrow, the next day, there's going to be the new moon.
Just he runs a hand through his hair and kind of ruffles it up a little bit. All right. Okay. Breathes in another whiff of the air. Anything on the wind that he can smell?
Just the smell of like late summer. Recently, there's been a little bit more of like when the factory is in high production, there sometimes is a little bit of like an oily metal smell in the air, just because of the process and the the leftover slag and all that. A little bit more of that. Little strange for it to be like the factory is going this late at night, but that's just sort of a common background smell in Ashville. Lets you know that production is going on. Things are moving at the factory. It's a little stronger tonight than it has been in the past, but other than that, just the smells of late summer in Asheville.
Jesse is going to kind of just head out onto the road and start kind of wandering around. He's got to meet up with Dan and Lola. Maybe they went to the police station. He's not sure where they may have gone. Last he knew, they were probably going to go to...
You had sort of told them that they should drop the grubbler off at the loci at the church hall basement.
Where's the nearest loci to the bowling alley?
The church hall basement.
Okay.
Is the closest one.
So I guess he's going to start heading into that direction.
Okay. Dan and Lola, you guys had loaded back up into the car, correct? And were going to head out because you were supposed to bring, before the sidetrack that happened, you were supposed to bring the cop car back to Estrada.
Uh-huh. They're not following us. They seem to have scattered, retreated.
Whether the basement collapsed to such a degree that like it actually stymied the flow, or whether the removal of your presence stymied the flow, or maybe just killing the priest actually did do the job you wanted it to. It just took them a little bit to like get out of their swarm frenzy.
Stupid rats.
They do not currently appear to be pursuing you out of the basement. No.
All right. Yeah, I will make sure the cruiser works, and then I will put the headlights over on the donation bin that's had many visits recently. Mm-hmm. Find a pair of pants that I can fit into, even if I have to make them fit. Remove the bottom parts of them or whatever it is.
If you sort of leave there is the only thing that would fit Dan in there.
Yeah.
Dan's a big guy.
Yep.
There is a pair of men's jeans in there. If you just didn't, you're not really going to be able to close the button on them. Yeah, you're going to have to remove most of the legs, but it'll work.
Can you like snip the waist and be able to close the front?
Probably, yeah.
Are these like cargo short length or Daisy Duke length?
I don't know, Dan. Roll me a crafts.
Crafts what?
Denim.
I need a stat.
Crafts.
Is there anything I can spend here to make it so that they're Daisy Duke length? Without a roll.
Roll with intelligence.
Thank you. Oh.
Because it's not. I mean, you're strong enough to be able to just rip these jeans properly.
Right.
That's not in question. Can you do the sight measures well?
That'll be 3 successes.
All right, Tim. What length are they?
They're like 4-inch shorts.
Dan's a huge dude, so that's
closer to Daisy Duke.
That's a belt.
So you rip them above the pockets, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the pockets are hanging out below.
No, we just ripped those pockets off too.
You have pockets and you're ripping them out?
Yeah, who needs them?
Oh my god.
People with phones.
While Dan is shuffling through, Lola is kind of looking at what she's wearing, and since he's probably throwing some stuff out in his search, she just kind of grabs a t-shirt and like sweatpants or shorts or something like that.
Lola is pretty small. It's pretty easy to get like an oversized t-shirt.
So she finds a shirt that says, women want me, fish fear me, or something like that, and just some shorts. Does a quick change in the parking lot. She's a theater kid. She has no shame about doing quick changes in front of other people. So the two of you
just stand in the parking lot in the headlights, like going through the honestly scattered remains. By the way, this is like what, the third time we've gone through here?
At least the second
time, but it's been a week.
Yeah, that's true. But turns out there's actually not a lot of donations in Asheville.
Don't make this sad.
Jesse's already pilfered all the good.
Do you think we're playing?
I don't know. I'm playing Dan, so
Jesse's already pilfered all the good donations, anyways.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys keep coming back here, we're going to start rolling, and there's going to be penalties. But for now, yeah, you can have an oversized t-shirt and like a pair of. Honestly, Lola's pretty small,
yeah.
Right? Like
she's 5'3" and she's pretty slight of build.
Like kids' bicycle shorts and an oversized t-shirt.
Yeah.
And Dan, you've got your cutoffs.
I'm essentially wearing the denim version of the He-Man belt type thing, essentially, more or less.
I accept this.
Yeah.
Denim booty shorts.
Yeah.
And after you guys, dress yourselves in the parking lot.
Yeah. We're going to head to the police station.
Okay. You load up into the car. Who's driving?
I'm driving.
Okay. That makes sense.
Lola doesn't drive. Lola shouldn't drive.
But your shoes are nice and dry inside because I think you kicked them off, right?
You did,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the mini game is, how long can Lola keep a pair of shoes?
And pretty quickly, after examining a little bit, you see Jesse walking down the road from June's towards the church.
The second Jesse spots a cop car coming towards him, his hands go erect into the air and start flopping around, and he high knee runs away into the alley between two houses. Very conspicuously in your spotlights.
Lola grabs the police radio.
Yeah, you can.
And puts it on the loudspeaker.
No. Just open the window.
Over the loudspeaker, you hear, no, just open the window.
Oh, okay, sorry. And the window, is it a crank window or is it an electric window?
It's electric.
Okay, just because I'm making the gesture and suddenly the question was there. So Lola drops the window and, Jesse, it's us.
After a few moments, Jesse comes slinking out of the shadows between the house. Sup, guys? Where'd you get a cop car?
It's the same cop car.
The same one?
Yeah,
All night.
Look, I ran into some rat
You guys
issues.
are savage. I'm sorry, wait, you ran into what?
Rat issues. Get in, I gotta talk.
Whoa. He kind of comes walking over to the passenger side window. Lola, you all right?
I'm fine. She's a little too ready to dismiss.
They both reek of blood, don't they?
They reek of blood and sickness and water, actually. A lot of heavy rainwater.
Interesting.
Yeah, Lola's hair is probably still wet.
Oh, yeah, Lola is soaked.
I can't leave you guys...
Dan also soaked.
I can't leave you guys alone for a few minutes, can I?
You shouldn't leave us alone at all.
Where's the grubbler?
I think he went through.
You think he went through?
I was not in ability or shape to check on his progress.
Wait, you ran into problems with the locust?
Do you want the front or the back?
Yeah.
I'll get in back. He hops in the back of the cruiser.
As soon as Jesse gets in, we start going to the police station so we can, bring the food that we originally meant to bring.
Yeah, it's cold now, but yes.
Food's food.
Cold, half-eaten leftovers.
Delicious.
What'd you say it was? Like 2 hot dogs, a hamburger with a bite out of it, some fries.
Yeah, it was basically me just doing a bus run through the bowling alley of picking up leftovers that people were maybe still working on.
There were mozzarella sticks, but Lola appropriated those pretty fast.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to need some of that food.
So it's a couple of sorry French fries and the bun of a hot dog, but no hot dog.
Yeah, there was some sort of mega rat at the locust.
It was like a rat cult.
A rat cult.
Yeah.
There was a leader.
He tried to talk to me. I removed that ability.
There's probably only a few things that this could possibly be, and I'm imagining that Jesse has heard tales from Hank.
Yes.
About the beshilu.
You are aware, at least at a cursory level, of what beshilu are.
Oh, man. How do we let this go? Oh, this is real bad.
I killed their leader. It's fine.
I don't think that's gonna be the end of it. How many of them were there?
Lots.
Less than there were. Well, there are less now than there were.
Did you kill all of them?
No, I had to get Lola out of there.
Dan, if you had to guess, how many of them were there?
30.
30.
I mean, that's the ones I saw.
How many did you kill?
A dozen. including the mega one.
Still more than half of their number are out there.
I know, it could have been more.
Lola kind of gives a nod as Dan gives his estimates. Like, yeah, that's about right.
Fuck.
I had to bring out the big guns on that one.
Did they know it was you?
Me specifically?
Were you shifted the whole time, or did they see your human form?
I was never in my human form.
The whole time?
Whole time.
All right. So, they saw Lola though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what people see when they look at me, especially rat people who just kind of seemed really focused on hurting Dan.
I don't think the spirits. These are ridden. Not really. They're Shartha. It's complicated.
Dumb it down for Lola.
Yes, for me. She gives Dan a wink.
They're these horrible beings from the Hyseal. They were part of something. I think it was called the Rat King. I don't remember. It's been a while since Hank told me about them. The Uratha destroyed this being and sent it into billions of shards. Those shards want to get back into the realm of the physical. They want to connect the Hyseal with the physical, and they chew on the gauntlet between realms. What this means is that the area that they start chewing on gets all kinds of messed up. There becomes problems with the essence in the area. Spirits start starving, and they start eating each other to make up for it, which is all kinds of bad problems. When you got one spirit of one idea eating a spirit of another idea, they meld into things called we're in bad territory, guys. Beyond that, the beshilu, they're cowardly, but if there's enough of them, they get real bold. And if they didn't see you, we're okay, because I'm worried they might come after us, or people we know. If they saw you, they might think that you were Dolores. We should probably warn Gary, because otherwise he might have beshilu showing up to his door to kill him and Dolores.
Well, I killed the biggest ones.
Yeah, but they grow, man.
Can't be that fast, right?
He gives you a withering look in the rear view.
Oh. Well, we need to...
Aside from that, the way that they make more beshilu is awful. And if there's 30 full-grown ones, I don't even want to know how many ones are gestating.
These are mostly the rat ones. There was only a few bodies that they were in bodies.
Okay. We got to do something about this soon.
How do you do something about it?
Well,
copious amounts of murder.
We probably should have done this a lot earlier, but
the second best time is now.
Well, let's go to the station and see if we can do something to help John and Aviva. Maybe they can help out with the situation too. Normally a whole pack of werewolves would have to take care of this, but just two of us, that'll be dicey. I guess you guys will have to suffice as our pack for the time being.
I can do that.
John and Aviva. The two of you are walking away from the police office, hand in hand in the dark. John, you take these sort of... It's not uncommon for you to sort of take like a nightly amble around town. As the two of you walk, just... Where are you going? You guys walked away from the police station.
Aviva had no plan. She was just mad and walking. If they are going a direction, it is because John has determined that.
John is sort of in two places at once, mentally. And on some level, he is going to move towards his house where he has all of the research equipment that he's going to need to move forward. But at the same time, he's not really in a big rush. He's kind of just genuinely enjoying walking around with Aviva. So, like, there is an ultimate destination, but he's not exactly being overly efficient about getting there.
As you're walking, you can't help but notice the Castro for Mayor signs that are still posted around town.
Yeah, he tenses slightly whenever he passes one.
And in your ambles, after a short time, you see headlights approaching. The telltale sort of silhouette behind them of a police cruiser.
John sort of side-eyes Aviva, kind of quietly being like, okay, this could be good, this could be trouble.
The side eyes kind of returned, a little bit of a raise of an eyebrow, but she doesn't really seem to contribute any opinion on the matter.
Is this us?
The three of you in the car, as you round the corner heading towards the police station, in the headlights, just walking down the middle of the street, are Aviva and John, holding hands, walking sort of in the opposite direction to where you guys are going.
Lola reaches for the radio.
No radio. We'll drive up next to him and roll the window down. We don't need to announce where we are to everyone all the time.
But it's fun to use. I've never gotten to use one of these before.
Just let her use the radio
No, we're good.
once. Just this once, man.
We're fine. I'm sure you guys will steal another cop car at some point.
That seems probable.
I pull up next to them, roll down the window for whatever appropriate side they are on.
What's up? John, like, kind of waves.
Evening, sir.
Jesse smacks his hands against the window. I was arrested!
Finally.
Lola leans over. Hey, kids, want to buy some drugs?
What you got?
Nothing good.
Sounds great.
Mostly just poisoned rat blood.
And some leftovers.
Rat poison?
No,
Sort
blood.
of.
Are these the same thing, the poisoned rat blood and the leftovers, or?
No, different.
For serious, though, we actually got some serious problems in this city, and we should probably all talk.
Hold
Right.
on. I, like, lean into the car, kind of investigating, like, what happened?
Something was at the church that shouldn't been when we went to drop the grubbler off to make sure he went back to his home. And it needed to be killed. So I killed it.
You didn't kill all of it.
I killed the big guy.
The big guy in this case is not the actual problem.
Okay.
Are you guys good, or?
I mean, I'm generally fine right
I'm
now.
fine.
We need to clean up the squad car.
I mean, there isn't a lot left in here. The church is probably not
How
in
does the
good
car
condition.
look?
The car looks wet and bloody. Not terrible. Not terrible. Dan had repaired the tire and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
so, like, that's fine. But Lola and Dan are both wet and had some blood on them, so, like, the car is... It's not pristine.
Cop's a douche, but he's an ally. So we should probably fix this up.
Okay.
Do you want to get in with us and we'll bring it over and fix it up there?
I don't think you should see the blood. Here, can you get out for a second?
Yeah.
Wait, you're working with the cops?
We gotta talk.
You pop the trunk.
Man, you should have said that before I stole his car.
Sure. I'll pop the trunk, get out of the car, signal for everyone to get out of the car, I guess.
Aviva starts rummaging. She looks for a first aid kit, which I think there is one there, yeah, you said?
Yeah, in the police car.
And she yanks it out, and that's not particularly gentle about it. Just kind of yanks Stan's arm to check him, see if he's telling the truth.
I mean, I'm almost entirely visible.
Yeah, that's a pretty quick check. And
You can do a visual inspection if you'd like. I'll help you out.
No.
Dan starts flexing.
See any problems under there?
He gets shoved out of the way. And she goes over to Lola.
I will go with the show.
Lola is like quietly trying to discreetly like cross an arm in front of her so the blood that's leaching through along her collarbone isn't visible.
How successful are you at that attempt?
Probably not very.
Is that something you want to roll, or how do you want to do that?
If you're actively trying to conceal it, give me a subterfuge. You're just trying to, like, cross your body and, like, physically hide it.
Yeah.
Give me a dex subterfuge. Aviva, this will be contested by a wits plus either medicine or investigation.
No successes.
2 successes.
She's very clearly trying to hide the fact that she is hurt.
Hey, you're full of shit. Say so.
I'm fine. And she, actively now turns away.
Hey, Lola, we're working as a pack. Let her tend to that. You agreed to this.
When Jesse reminds her that she has agreed to things, she kind of, very slowly turns around and even slower lets her arms drop.
With that, Aviva is going to try and use some medicine to treat Lola.
How quickly and, based on how she approached Dan, does she take a different approach from Lola?
Not at all.
Okay, Lola...
Rougher, probably, honestly.
Lola actively flinches at the sudden movement toward her.
Hey, am I going to kill you with a Band-Aid?
People who move fast toward me don't usually have good intentions. Especially when I've been bad.
All right, well, I'm going to admit it's pretty tempting to slap the wound if you keep on squirming, but I'm trying to heal you right now.
That's not helping.
Probably not. And I'm going to start trying to do it.
Lola is in very, very tense. She allows it, but she is watching with super wide eyes, and she starts shaking a little bit.
The wound itself doesn't seem particularly, externally... there's some, redness and, almost like a chemical burn in one area, but it's more... You get the impression pretty quick that it's more, something made her sick, and, time is going to help more than anything.
Okay, so I can't do anything medicine-wise?
You can treat it to make sure it doesn't, get infected.
Yeah, I'd like to just do what I can if there's anything.
Roll me an intelligence medicine.
Okay. 2 successes.
All right. You managed to treat it, and you're pretty... her anatomy is... Well, as you can see as far as you can see right now, it's just regular Lola, but you have seen her inside the hedge, so... With her anatomy, who knows? But as far as you are aware, this is a decent way to treat somebody. It's probably not going to get infected.
Aviva establishes kind of a firm grip on you, but when you start shaking, she doesn't, acknowledge it or admit anything, but her touches kind of just get slower and gentler.
She still watches, but the shaking dissipates a little bit.
And that being finished, she actually just turns away and, Jesse, you look fine. You don't look like you've been through anything, right?
He looks like he's been through a really rough shift at work.
Well, that does need some treatment, but not medical care, so I'm going to put that back then. If there's anything in the back of the car that looks like it can be used like towel or to soak up all the
Jesse's
stuff.
wearing a big fur jacket.
Yeah, other than that, not so much.
So once everyone's out of the car, I'm going to kind of climb in, and I'm going to convert the water into air. Okay. And then I'm going to take the blood and turn it into a solid and just shape it into a glob, set it out of the car, so it's all done.
Okay, make me your roll, mage.
While everyone's standing outside of the car watching him do this, Jesse kind of looks over to your 2 outfits and goes, nice threads.
He kind of takes a Sharpie and starts drawing runes onto his hands to kind of help channel the magic.
Okay.
And that's 5 successes on casting.
That is an exceptional success.
So I'll compress the blood into a gem, set it outside, and then once the water's been turned to air, I'm going to double check the car to make sure there's nothing else that stands out as unusual.
Honestly, on an exceptional success, this car looks totally fine. It looks, honestly, between that and Dan's successes, like fixing tires and stuff, like, this car looks perfect. It looks, honestly, probably is now in better condition than when it was taken from Estrada.
Okay. And, hey, Dan, can you pass me my phone? I'm going to anonymously tip off the location of the car. We're going to bail and just let him pick it up.
We just drop it off there. You guys are like 2 minutes down the road.
Best we don't.
Yeah, but we'd kind of like our phones back, too. Is the
and
thing.
We don't want to be connected to the car.
Let's listen to John on this. I trust him.
All right, whatever.
Aviva jams her hand out towards Lola.
Lola kind of fumbles at her hoodie, which she did put back on, despite it being wet. And she finds the phone and puts it in her hand.
Thank you.
Your phone's in the car. Cup holder.
Pull it out of the cup holder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to call and leave a message to the police station, basically being like, hey, I spotted this car while I was walking home.
You can leave a message. He doesn't pick up, whether or not it's because he's tired or because he sees it's your number and just chooses not to pick up,
Yeah. And then we throw the keys into the trees. No.
Yeet. Good luck, fucker.
Yeah, we haven't exactly been walking too long, so
No.
I'm sure you can handle it. Okay, so I'm heading to my place. You guys are welcome to join me, and we can talk.
It is getting late. Everybody is kind of tired at this point.
No, we should probably definitely talk now. If you guys are all up for it, I say we go to John's place and have a little bit of a powwow.
Yeah, I really want to do that. I got a lot of questions for you.
Okay. Right this way. And John is going to lead the group and head for a house that is actually shockingly nice, with a little road that leads up to it that is all its own. And Aviva might notice how incredibly close it is to the train car that they had last seen each other at before she's returned to town.
In fact, if you went into the backyard of this house and walked a short way through the trees, you might come to a place that is very familiar to you.
Do we know about this place?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't generally
we don't
invite
have
people to hang out,
right,
but yeah.
Very different from the little apartment above Ernie's pawn shop.
As Aviva's walking, she slows down, just kind of looks around, purposely trying to make it hard to get a read on her expression, confirming the location with that look around. I mean, it's not hard. It's burned into her mind. Where's John looking? As we're walking in,
John is sort of laser focused on conducting the investigation, which he needs, to get access to his library for. So he's sort of looking forward and very headstrong and focused.
Hey, John, buddy, where are we going? Because I thought you were living above the pawn shop.
I've been staying with Ernie for a while, but this is my home. And here is the library that I'm going to need.
For what?
To deal with the cult.
Don't you mean this is your mom's house?
No.
Okay.
No, she has her own place, and honestly, it's a little over the top, he says, as he walks into this.
Wait a minute, you own
frankly,
this place?
over the top house. Yeah.
Why the hell are you staying in a pawn shop then?
I don't know, that old cliche, home is where the heart is thing, right? And then he just goes inside.
Justy shrugs and follows in after.
I mean, Dan's poking around at stuff, but he's probably been here before.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I assume Dan's been there, but
yeah,
John just doesn't throw parties anymore.
Right, basically.
The back of John's head is getting a weird glare, and Aviva's going in. And she's maintaining pace, but with the group rather, though she's slowed down.
Lola is following along, kind of looking wide-eyed at everything. She follows, but is very mindful of the door and kind of looks ahead of people to see where it leads, and seeing that it just leads into a house, she's a little less reluctant to follow.
If you're being particularly perceptive, you would notice that there's a ton of security features. Not the kind of security features of someone who just goes, wants a safe home. No, like security features that someone might have if they think people are after them.
Like a reinforced door.
Yeah.
She definitely notices and kind of takes that in.
Jesse seems oblivious to those things.
A group of you walk inside. Settle down. John, do you even have food and drinks to offer guests, or
no?
I was saying, unfortunately, that's where Dan was heading immediately, and just start looking through, what do you got in here?
Lola has remembered to grab the leftovers from the car before they left.
Actually, wait, I want to know what's in John's fridge.
Mustard.
Yeah, there's
spell
there's salad dressing and some beer. Honestly, it looks like when he eats here, it's usually some sort of takeout, and all he really keeps here are things to see to it.
Basically, some non-perishables here and there.
Yeah.
Just things that you haven't bothered to get rid of.
Stuff to make like pasta
condiments
with.
are in the fridge.
Condiments,
Yeah. It's a little sad, right? Because there's none of the things that you would expect someone to have were they to like have someone over for dinner are there at all. And what is there is like TV dinners and the kind of thing you would eat when you're like in a big rush and don't really have time to worry about
Protein
enjoying
shakes.
something.
Like Ensure.
Definitely protein shakes.
Maybe some that Dan left.
Yeah, it's definitely a big giant thing of whey protein.
Well, I mean, he's a swimmer, so like
Yeah.
he has use for protein.
Yep.
Beyond that, he's got just lots of liquor.
I figure while Dan's probably looking at the food selection, Aviva's kind of doing a weird check over of the windows and like the boundary of the house. Just very conscious of where this house is located. But she's not really saying anything about it. She's just making a face.
I think I'm going to start pulling together something from the remnants of whatever John has and ask Jesse to help me out.
I feel like Dad probably just, like, considering what was described as being here, the best that you find is, like, a big Costco-sized tub of peanut butter. And you're just, like, you grab a butter knife and you're just eating peanut butter straight out of the thing.
I was thinking, like, he had, like, old cans of, like, chili, and I'm using that and adding, like, whey protein powder into it.
God.
Oh, God.
I'd look at him like, hey, that gets really dry. And I just set out like a drink. Just kind of understanding.
Yeah,
and
put the old beers in there, and just, like, I've got, like, 2 open, and I'm just, like, I pound one and, like, crush it, and then start on the other one.
How serious is the talk?
You're
you guys
making
need to
like
have?
you're making like a protein bowl based strictly on the actual nutritional values of things, not actually what it goes. So so the peanut butter does go in there
Yeah.
Yep.
with the chili and the whey protein
Just a
Jesse.
slurry.
and just some cheese that he found.
Jesse, how serious is this conversation? You need.
Extremely serious.
Yeah.
Lola holds up the bag of leftovers.
John starts to break out the alcohol.
It's cold, but there's some food in here if people want it.
What is it?
Whatever Jesse put in the
Some
bag.
grill food. I can warm up some of this stuff.
Yeah, but like, what is it?
Hot dogs, a burger. Dan, did you eat the burger?
I haven't had a chance yet. Some fries.
All right, some fries.
I
It smells like.
whatever. I probably can't do it anyway. And Aviva just goes over to join at the alcohol.
So,
Sorry, not in here. Come with me. And he like gestures really quick, and he heads to this room that has no windows, is specifically kind of has a different energy than the rest of the house, and within it is a collection of dusty tomes, journals, newspaper clippings from around town of car accidents, and it just has a bit of weirdness to it, and there's some odd runes that are scrawled all over the place, sometimes with chalk, sometimes cut in with a knife.
Jesse does give this room pause and actually kind of nervously looks around this room. You can just tell body language wise, he's looking at this room like he's giving it like he doesn't want to come in. He looks like he's looking at this place like a trap.
Okay. John will get some chalk. He sits down, crosses his legs, and he starts scratching these symbols into the floor slowly, making a circle around himself. Go ahead. Continue.
Aviva's kind of stopping, like one hand's probably got a glass of, I don't know, would you have vodka in your liquor?
Definitely vodka.
Yeah, sure. A glass of vodka, one hand, and the other hand is like kind of trailing over the markings that you scratched over. She looks over,
The only thing of value in here is alcohol.
like midway through, trailing her hand down like the markings on the door to Jesse, and she's like, "You good or?"
Yeah, I'm fine. He kind of gives a half chuckle smile and steps into the room.
John, what's with the chalk?
I'm preparing some summonings.
Okay, can we get into the conversations first?
Yeah, by all means. It's just, this takes time, so.
So, we've got some problems in this town. Have I ever talked to you about beshilu?
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
No,
Did I ever
not
tell-
exactly.
Did I ever talk to you about Shartha?
Yes, you have spoken of Shartha.
Apparently, we have an infestation of this kind of Shartha, the beshilu. I don't know how bad it is, but Dan said that there was at least 30 of them, and he's killed a dozen. which leads me to think that this is already beyond the point where 2 werewolves can handle it.
And this is something werewolves usually handle, or what's with that?
We're supposed to, but my Uncle Hank used to be the one that really kept everything in order, but he went missing a few years ago.
Lola had been in the kitchen kind of scrounging for things that are not alcohol to drink. Like she's looking for instant coffee, energy drinks, soda.
Definitely coffee and energy drinks.
Okay. She kind of just uses tap water to make just some god-awful coffee and grabs an energy drink and kind of has brought them in and sits on the floor. We're in a place where she has as good a line of the door as she can get without being readily visible from the door. And when Hank is mentioned, she reacts. Whether it's just been a long night or what, she pulls herself tighter and puts her head down.
I don't know if anybody else notices it, but Lola definitely notices Jesse giving her a side glance when he does mention Hank. Hank was preparing me and Dan to be guardians of the territories here, but we didn't necessarily graduate werewolf school, if you want to put it that way.
I mean, when did you start, if that's even how that works?
My first change was in high school. I don't know if you remember when I was ditching more often, heading out to the woods a lot, not showing around for class.
Yeah. Kept sticking stuff to your locker, but piled up.
He kind of shrugs and gives a smile and werewolf.
Yeah, my change happened when I had to quit sports for a while.
Yeah, he was the year after.
Yeah.
Is it like a spiritual awakening thing, or is it tied to your bodies, or was it like, did you get bitten, or?
No, it's in the bloodline, and it's kind of both spiritual and physical.
I mean, how did you even feel about it? You missed out, right? I know, Dan, football was really important to you, and I mean, we miss you, Jesse.
He kind of looks down and smiles a little bit.
She rolls her eyes, like she didn't just say something sentimental.
I guess it's weird. It's more of a part of us that was always there and always missing, just awakened. At least for me. I won't speak for Dan.
There's a sense of purpose you don't necessarily have before that you kind of do now. There's a freedom in it.
That makes sense.
But there's that purpose he's talking about. Uratha is what we call ourselves. And the Uratha are supposed to guard the barrier between the physical world and the Hysil, which is the realm of shadow.
That's the word the rat leader yelled out. Uratha.
But, before I took his head off.
The Shartha are terrified of Uratha because we're the reason that they were destroyed.
Destroyed or changed?
Changed is probably a better word. I don't know if you can actually destroy these things. I think you can just break them apart and dissipate them, but they always try to recombine and come back together. And not all Shartha have the same purpose. Some of them want to do other weird things with the barrier between worlds, but beshilu want to destroy that barrier. They want the world to be one again.
Why?
I don't know, if I'm being honest.
It's what drives them.
When the world was one, gods reigned openly. The Shartha, absolutely, they make sense. Because there was a time when the world was this unified presence, or the fallen world, and everything else was connected, at least more securely than it is now. So it makes sense that they would want a return of a time when they were great and could stand above humanity.
The problem is that this activity they're doing is going to dry up all of the essence in the Shadow Realm, which in turn starves the spirits in the Shadow Realm, which in turn causes them to start eating one another, which means that there are very ugly combinations of ideas that are growing into huge mutant things that should not exist.
You mean they kind of, like, combine DNA?
It's called a Mageth, and that's exactly what it is.
Kuru is always bad.
Spirit splicing.
They get real tough and harder to kill, and some of them are already tough to kill, so...
So make sure I understand.
Yeah.
Right now you have a situation where the Shartha are going to throw everything out of balance to the point where a single pack of werewolves won't be able to readily handle the situation.
A single pack of werewolves could handle the situation.
But we don't have that.
We have 2 werewolf brothers who are unfortunately missing a lot of the support we would need to be a functional pack.
But right now, do you feel like we're enough to handle this now, as opposed to after they accomplish whatever they intend?
I think if we don't move on the beshilu now, one of 2 things are going to happen. One, I don't know if they recognize Dan, but Lola was there, and they might recognize her as Dolores, and they might come after her, Dolores and Gary.
We smell different. I don't know if they smell like...
Don't know. Haven't had many conversations with them.
They might not make distinction on that. The other problem is that they might simply relocate and dig in deeper, at which point we lose track of them, but they start actively looking out for Uratha.
They relocate somewhere else in Ashville, or they relocate somewhere else?
Probably somewhere else in Ashville. I don't think they would change their base too drastically, but they're definitely going to be on the hunt for who the Uratha and the area are. And while I'm not too worried about fighting them, and I'm sure Dan's not too worried about fighting them, I do not want them coming after my aunt or my grandma.
I mean, I'll help, but since I didn't get to go to college, do want a degree, honorary degree from werewolf school.
If you guys are willing to help us out, I'm willing to make you guys all honorary werewolves.
I mean, I'd like to be an honorary werewolf, too.
Actually, truthfully, my aunt told me about a time that my Uncle Hank brought her into the Hasiel. I don't know how to do that, but if y'all are serious, we could go talk to my Uncle Hank's totem. It's been something I've been meaning to do for a while.
I also might be able to open a door there.
All right.
Lola looks around like she didn't want to mention it, but would have been remiss to not mention it.
So there's something I need to go over with everyone.
Oh, one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is connected to the beshilu, but the lodge meetings for the bowling tournament are getting really weird. And I noticed them wearing one of these, and he pulls a pin out of his pocket and flips it over to John.
John catches it and sort of gives this knowing nod. So about that conversation. These guys have been around for a while. He holds up the pin. Myself, Aviva, and the cop had a conversation. And he, like myself, is of the impression that these guys have been hurting people.
Yeah, the ghosts around here, they have the symbol it's associated with their death.
Like people with this symbol have been killing them?
They're a cult making sacrifices.
Like the rat cult?
It seems this is different.
There is more than one cult in Ashville?
I mean, the rats aren't... Religion is like... They're dumb rats. Don't worry. Don't give them too much credit.
Well, these guys aren't dumb.
Right.
And they've met with a lot of success over the years. And John pulls out a piece of paper with some notes on it. And this is a list of suspected victims. They've been sacrificed to some purpose. It's very possible that there isn't enough left of them to talk to. But we've seen at least one. So we know that it's possible that these victims can be talked to find out how they do it, where they do it. I'm going to have to get a much closer look at this cult. These sorts of sacrifice, this collection of souls, it can lead to some pretty dire consequences. And I'm starting to see consequences of either this cult or my mom or both. It's not totally clear.
What kind of consequences?
To channel the magic that I practice requires that one reach to the supernal. And between the fallen world and supernal, there is a vast gulf of nothing, a shattered portion of reality that leads to whatever lies beyond. We call it the abyss. The creature that ambushed us back at the cabin, the gold moth, that's where it comes from. When people like myself abuse the arcana and take unnecessary risks and aren't careful about their practices, when they reach to the supernal realm, the supernal reality, they can fall short and draw the attention of the abyss. And when that happens, glitches start to appear in reality. Things that don't make sense start to seep into the realm of sense. Right now, there's a large number of signs, for an election. Castro. Last week, all of those signs had a different name listed. It's a minor change, but for it to be so pervasive that it's across town makes me think that there's a lot more going on than what we see.
Reflecting on that, what do we all remember the signs saying?
Everybody who's trying to remember that, roll me a wits plus intelligence.
Rolling.
2 successes.
2 successes.
1 success.
Dan's taking the opportunity to go back and forth in the kitchen and finish up the thing that he was making.
Dan's not even looking. All right.
Get some more peanut butter chili protein.
I'm adding some, some spices. I'll make this taste good.
Those of you who are not making chili and thinking about, well, wait a minute. What we saw these signs last week. You remember them, now that John brings it up, you remember them saying Taggert for mayor. But the act of thinking about it is uncomfortable. It's that same feeling that you get when, you can't quite grasp a memory. Ordinarily, when you're and you're thinking hard about something, and then you make the realization, there comes with that sense of inherent relief. That relief does not come. In fact, thinking about it actively,
it actually makes sense that the two people who just got into town had 2 successes, and the person who's been here longer only has 1.
Honestly, yeah, kind of.
Did someone rewrite their own story to change their own name, and reality is complying?
No.
Is that a thing they do here?
I think someone rewrote their destiny. And I think the abyss is eating their past.
Someone named your mom?
Yeah.
So all these things are happening in the spirit realm are also tied to this.
Maybe.
There is also a powerful spirit of death. Well, maybe not death exactly. The concepts are weird. Maybe more decay is a better way of putting it. Its name is Carrion Feast. It manifests as the rotting corpse of a stag. And recently, Carrion Feast has been smelling sharper, which leads me to think that it is less of a long, dead corpse and more of a fresh one. I don't know why that changes, but if things are also changing in other parts of reality, it would make sense that spirit, who is one of the primary spirits of the Hasil in this area, is also being affected.
As Jesse mentions that Carrion Feast sounds like he's been made like an earlier stage of his development. Lola kind of tilts her head for a second and looks at John. What was your mom's maiden name?
Castro.
Is your mom erasing you from her life?
He kind of gives this kind of hopeless shrug. Maybe.
Because it sounds like she's stealing time again.
Yeah, it's kind of how she rolls. We can't fight her, but we can undermine her intentions so long as we can figure out what they are. And if this cult is somehow tied to her, and we can figure out what this cult is trying to do, maybe maybe we can prevent whatever final consequence this is going to ultimately bring about.
I think it's removing us from the equation.
Well, we're not gone yet. And if all this is connected,
removing the equation from us?
Like, there's these dead rat things. There's...
I mean, they're only dead because I killed them.
Sure.
They're normally alive.
But they're eroding something natural that's supposed to be there in the world, right?
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing of erosion happening. This all could be interconnected.
The fact that the sign says Castro means that there might be changes that are happening to relationships, the connections that people have. And it is perfectly within the realm of possibility that the reason the two of you are here is because what's going on brought us back together again.
I'm here because... And Lola kind of stops herself and, like, abruptly stops herself and...
Nah. Finish the sentence.
No.
You were already on the list of things we had to discuss. You made a promise, remember?
With her promise again being brought up, Lola nods. Takes first a sip of the coffee, the awful coffee, probably still has grounds floating in it, and then follows it with an energy drink chaser.
Dude, what the fuck? Hang on. Really?
What?
Ugh.
I don't want to sleep.
John grimaces.
What's a cooking roll?
Crafts
plus love.
I've got plenty of love.
I believe that's strength.
Ask any woman in town.
Strength.
I will allow you, with the things that John has, to roll wits plus crafts.
Nice. Do I take a negative bonus on this for the items that I'm using, since they're not proper equipment, maybe?
Honestly, yeah. Take a 1 die penalty.
Sounds good. Take that 3 successes.
Hey man, what do you come into the room to join this discussion with for everyone?
I bring in a series of well-stacked bowls of a chili that weirdly smells good. It has been spiced. It is thick. It is hearty.
Got a little umami flavor from the peanut butter.
Your should not work, but it does.
I found enough various weird ingredients in John's kitchen to put something together that is actually edible.
Where'd you get that?
I made it.
Wow.
It's what I like to call leftover chili.
Kind of smells like pad thai.
There's a little bit of peanut butter in there, too. Also, this will definitely improve your gains, so just eat up all of it.
Are there spoons included?
Yeah.
Okay.
John kind of embraces this little break from, like, cosmic horror and accepts the offered food.
Lola will also accept.
Yeah, Aviva will take a bowl, but she's like kind of taking it more as an accessory to stare at Lola, pressure her, peer pressure for some answers.
Lola looks away, deliberately not engaging.
So what's going on? Flower Child's about to tell us what's up?
So, I have a really awkward question.
Lola looks glad for the diversion.
If whatever is happening is causing people to come back and the town to flourish and decay to be reversed, is that a bad thing?
Yes. It is unnatural. And there are few horrors on the level of total stasis.
Jesse kind of looks at you with a weird stare where he kind of nods like he knows you're right, but still just, you can see that there is a lot of doubt behind his eyes. He's not convinced. You know the recognizing glare of somebody who's listening to a teacher and going, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you can see that he's still on the fence.
I see it like this. Death isn't some doom where everything ends. It is a transition. It is like the end of high school. The things you knew and understood come to pass. but it means that new things come about. And if things are to go back, it doesn't just revive the past, but it denies the future. And that's not right. And I know that there is a seduction to it, the temptation to see the people that you've lost or are losing. But it's wrong. I think we've all lost loved ones, our time, our chances. But to spend an eternity chasing the past, think of what it denies you and others. If my mom is doing this, it is for an insane, selfish reason. She's got to lose. And with that, he takes the chalk and he scratches the first of the names into the ground. The name reads Annie Hardy.
Lola.
V.
You think you're sneaky, or are you ready to keep going? Or start, really?
I think there are more important things to talk about than me.
No, actually.
It's not a contest.
And if we're learning anything right now, it's that everything's connected.
I haven't been connected to this place in a very long time. So much so that you didn't even notice I was gone.
I noticed that your replacement sucked.
I saw it for what it was.
I suppose it's on us. We were totally fools.
I didn't know anything.
I
spent a long time being mad that my best friend suddenly didn't give a shit about me. That she didn't want to do study group. She didn't want to lose our voices singing along to musicals badly in the car. She didn't even want to say hi in the hallway. So, yeah. It didn't seem like you were missing. It just seemed like you were suddenly terrible. Now we got a chance to hear what the fuck is actually up with the person we care about. So, you gonna keep on just fucking with us, or?
By the weight of my word, I can't.
Good.
But it's going... She sets her drinks down, sets her chili down. She had been somehow balancing a drink in each hand and the chili in the center of the two. But she sets them all down and just kind of hugs her knees to herself. And she takes a long breath. It was all my fault. It was my fault I left. I was stupid. And I didn't read it well enough. And I was selfish for wanting to not stay here all my life. And I didn't think. And it was my fault that I was gone.
You said this was when you were pretty young.
I was 14.
I mean, classically, that's an age when people make terrible decisions.
Yeah, but I don't make terrible decisions. I make the good decisions. I think about things, and I think about the good of other people. And I should have known better.
John side-eyes Aviva a moment and sighs. You can't blame yourself for the bad things that bad people do.
I don't... She isn't bad, she just doesn't know better.
How does that justification not apply to you? You didn't know what was going to happen.
But I should have. It was all there.
How could you know? If you can tell me right now how you were supposed to know, I can accept that. But if not...
I should have been smarter. Good things don't happen to me. Things that good don't happen to people. I should have been suspicious.
Sounds like a well-laid trap.
Sounds like a shittily laid trap. That's barely even logic. Good things do happen.
That was the well-laid part.
These gentry are cruel.
Don't say the word.
Fair enough.
Not when there's a huntsman after us. Me.
But they're cruel.
They're
monstrous and they prey on good people.
They don't know better.
Who cares? They did it. It's on them. They're the one who did the thing.
So, after dance class, I was waiting for my mom to come and pick me up. And this beautiful, beautiful woman. She looked very official, very put together. She had been watching through the windows. She said I had talent. She said that there was a school and a program outside of Ashville in the Boston area where I could get a scholarship and I could be a dancer. I could earn money being a dancer. And she gave me a clipboard and said, sign this and all the dreams will come true. So I thought I read it and so I signed it. She took me back in the dance studio to get my stuff. And she took me through the mirror we came out of.
Into the hedge.
And past.
I would have signed it.
I gave up half my life in high school trying to get scholarships. So, if you think that anyone here is going to judge you for being good at dancing, believing in your talent, having worked towards something, trusting someone who shouldn't have been targeting a fucking 14-year-old, well then you're thinking of yourself. Because you're the only person blaming you.
Honestly, the part that just confounds me is the fact that these things have gone under the radar and are able to just snatch somebody out of the blue like that.
I wasn't the only one she took. There were others.
Are they still there, or what's
others from Ashville?
You don't remember.
I don't know.
Your memories of your durance, your memories of being in Arcadia are as fractured as Arcadia itself. Barely flashes of memory of what your long time being there was. Flashes that include a porcelain smiling face. Flashes of a garden of dancing like petals in the wind. Flashes of color and light and sensation that this world cannot compare to. It is horrifying and alluring all at once. And you know that there were others because you know that you tried to help them to escape. You cannot remember their faces and you cannot remember their names because they were lost along the way.
I don't know. One of them, Mother remade into gemstones. The other, Mother remade into paint. That's why they can't make anything of their own. They can only redesign what already exists. That's why Dolores is made of scraps. She can't make anything new. She can't make people. She can make things that look like people.
But this mother of yours, she snares people from our world.
Yeah.
And remakes them?
Yeah. Into things that are beautiful. Into things that make her happy, that she can find joy in. She wants to be a mother.
He was pacing earlier, but through the course of this, and you're not sure when it happened, but Jesse is now sitting only a few feet from you, kind of mirroring your position. And he's very, very serious, giving you a very even level look.
She kind of looks up with her eyes, but doesn't lift her head.
Did this mother of yours steal my Uncle Hank too?
She, buries her face in her knees. No, but she changed him. All wolves in the hedge get changed. And it's my fault that happened too.
Start from the beginning of that, okay? Please.
She wanted to be a mother, so she wanted kids to do things with. She wanted recitals to go to and art shows to see, and so she made us do all that for her, and she made us into the things she wanted to see. But you don't just keep your kids at home, right? You take them out, you do things with them. So she made us compete against one another, and I won. She gave me wings, and I could go anywhere, but I was always tied to her by the wings. I could go I could go to the realm of death. I could go to the spirit worlds. I could go to the realms of other gentry. She kind of catches herself and covers her mouth when she realizes she said gentry, and kind of like you can see her cursing under her breath, but she keeps going. I would show off for others to bragging rights for Mother. But she took us out as a group. We were her hunting pack. We would find things for her to change. Things that wandered into the hedge. And I was good at making people stay still. And one day, we found a wolf.
Aviva very quietly is just slowly gonna walk over and put herself as if she's putting herself next to Lola. But really, she's positioning to be between Lola and Jesse. She's trying to cover that intention, just slow with the vodka, as if she's just changing positions.
You catch Jesse's eyes, and you can tell that he looks a little bit hurt by the interposition.
Lola sees none of this. Lola is very, okay, we've undammed this. This flow is not going to stop.
Aviva tries to shoot an apologetic look over to Jesse. There's not really any easy way of saying that she doesn't know how this goes down.
And I didn't see him as anything but a wolf, but he saw me. And for the first time since I'd been there, someone said my name, and I remembered my name. And a few times throughout my time with Mother, she had shown me the world that I left, and showed me that no one missed me. Everyone was happier because Dolores was focused on school and not dreaming about dance. She was focused. She was a straight A without trying. So I kind of gave up hope that anyone was even missing me anymore. And then when he said my name, I saw him, and it was Hank. And I panicked because Mother was looking at me as though if I was bad, she would turn my thorns inside out again. So I kept him from moving. And the last thing he said was, "Lola, go home." And so I grabbed the one that was paint, and I grabbed the one that was stones. And I ripped off my wings so Mother couldn't find me. And I ran. And we ran. And we ran through the hedge. And then we got somewhere along the way that the one made of stones stopped to fight to keep us, to take the heat off of myself and the paint. And then we kept running, and as we got to the thorns, the one that was paint disappeared. And I couldn't find them anymore. And then as we got into the thorns, they tore off pieces of me, until all that was left of me was how much I cared about the people that were near me. It was like tearing off each of my limbs, starting with the fingers and the toes. People are made up of so much, and all that was left when I came out the other side was just my head on a torso. And the one thing that kept me going was that I loved my friends. And that's all that's left of me. So Hank is gone, and I'm sorry because it was my fault.
So hearing that, kind of sensing a tension within the group, John actually sets the chalk down, and he gets up and heads over to Lola and hugs her.
Lola has kind of curled into a ball during the pause at the end of her story, wrapping her arms around her head like she's trying to hide from everything that she's just said. But she jumps a little when someone grabs her, but she kind of just realizes it's one of them, one of the people that she is whole for. And she just kind of leans into it, shaking a little bit.
Seeing that Lola has someone hugging her, Aviva's looking between the two werewolves, still a little apologetic in Jesse's direction, but she seems to be watching. She doesn't really know what she's watching for, but
Dan, seeing that the general moment has broken, is follows John's example and goes into hug Lola, also trying to gather Aviva into it at the same time.
Yeah, bring it in, big guy.
Aviva's resistant. She's still looking at Jesse.
Jesse is just kind of, shoulders have sagged a little bit, and he's just sitting by himself, kind of staring off into space.
Aviva being resistant probably cannot stop Dan at his
I wasn't taking that as a thing. I figure it was a momentary pause before I just like...
Yeah, I was about to say, that's why I'm putting that clarification in. I do not believe that without making a substantial effort and some extreme luck in my dice that could ever work, but...
The resistance has been noted. Much like cats, I figure you're fine.
And Lola just keeps, like between breaths, just keeps murmuring that she's sorry.
I think Hank did what he wanted to do. He saved your life. And I think he would be pretty okay with that outcome. Now, if we get a chance to rock this mother person, I'm all for it.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, we'll find out.
She sounds like a god that Fathra hasn't killed yet.
Okay. I don't know. You can't tell if something's punchable till you punch it.
No. Everything dies.
Oh, perfect.
But
if she wasn't scared of wolves, she wouldn't have built the hedge around her realm.
Here's the thing, Lola. We're all really glad you're here.
She kind of squishes up in his arms a little tighter.
And I understand that whoever this person is worked really hard to convince you of otherwise. But all of us are really glad you're here.
Jesse does look up at that and definitely nods and gives you kind of a reassuring half smile.
Part of me doesn't want you guys to be okay with this. I don't think I deserve that.
I understand. I spent a good while at the campfire trying to do the same thing, but my friends didn't let me. And we're your friends too.
And as long as you guys are okay, I can be okay.
It's a dangerous life we live.
I'm not really all here. Like I said, the thorns, they took pieces of me and they're still there, and if I want to go back for them, I can try and get them, but it's dangerous, and so until I get those back, I am defined by how I left. That's how any of us who make our way back are defined.
Defined? What the fuck is that about?
What are you at the core of your being? Who are you at the core of your being?
Well, there's more to that than just how you left a place.
But that's all the thorns left me with. I am my kith. That's the name for what the hedge makes you into. My kith is one that leads and guides others, because if we don't, who are we? There are some, the one who turned and fought to buy the rest of us time, they'll be a beast, which they have to fight. It's what defines them, is that they don't take things lying down, they fight. The one who slipped away, I don't remember the name for their kith, but it's the ones who make their way alone. They are defined by their ability to weather things alone. So when you boil a person down to the syrupy substance of self, that's all we usually come out with. And then if I were to go back and find the pieces of me, I would have more to draw on when this world confounds me. That's why I'm not drinking. By the way, I broke a little bit when I saw magic being done in this world, and I had been drinking and reality wasn't quite all here.
Apologies.
It's not your fault. You had no way of knowing because I didn't want you to know.
It's a good way of looking at that.
Maybe someday we can look for those pieces if we got a way to do that, but for now,
The hollow of the hanging tree leads directly to the thorns.
Does it?
Yes.
It does.
It's where I found Jesse thinking about going in, and I panicked and I tried to get out faster, but the thorns took some strength from me.
If you travel through the seal to the hanging tree, that's where you find the hedge.
This is where the mushrooms are?
Yes.
John seems to be visibly thinking something over.
I noticed carrion feast there when Lola came through the hedge.
Hey, is this cult the lodge?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you need to, join the lodge? Because I've got, 3 standing invitations?
Yeah,
Is that going to help any?
it does.
Gary's part of the lodge.
Yeah, he's one of the ones.
Jesse pulls out the note, and I think I know when their next meeting is. He offers up that note.
Is Dolores part of it?
I don't think Dolores is part of the cult because of things Gary said. He was going to a lodge meeting. I know he said she was organizing the Founders Day celebration, but I don't know if that's lodge related or not.
John freezes. When is Founders Day? Takes out his phone and starts like rummaging through the calendar.
I think that's when the meeting on there. Look at the note.
The note says that the next lodge meeting is going to talk about Founders Day, is the sort of the implication of the note. Founders Day is in about 2 weeks. 2 Saturdays from now. It's not like the official Founders Day, but that's when the festival is.
We need to know what's going on before Founders Day.
What if Dolores orchestrated a Founders Day planning meeting, but it wasn't Dolores?
I don't know how far they're going to allow any planning to go outside their control. What I'm thinking, Dan, come with me. We're going to attend the meeting.
Sure.
We'll get in as deep as we can. And maybe Dolores can talk her husband into revealing some of their secrets.
He found me eating mozzarella sticks in a parking lot.
So? I bet he wants to talk to you really bad.
He might. Apparently I'm a really good kisser.
What do you mean, apparently?
I kind of smiles some at that.
I chatted with him when he found me eating mozzarella sticks in a parking lot like some kind of goblin. And he hugged me like he loved me. And he leaned in for a kiss, and I didn't want to blow the act, so I kissed him, and he told me I should have a white wine spritzer every weekend.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I've had stage kisses before.
Yeah, but that's bullshit.
I am composed largely of bullshit, I think, at this point.
No?
I mean, she made a choice. She could have not.
I mean, I think it's just a little bit scandalous. I mean, Gary's engaged to be married.
That is fair.
And apparently you're the other girl.
I'm a homewrecker. What can I say?
Aviva is actually being broken into laughter.
I think Gary will recover.
I don't think Gary minds either way, but I kind of don't want him to get hurt in all this. I don't think he's smart enough to know that what he's doing is bad.
So as part of that, thinking, if we do need Gary to be okay, we should probably keep an eye out on him. Because, like I said, the beshilu saw Lola.
I need to sort things out with Dolores.
I think we all need some sleep at some point, but I think John is doing something over there with the circle and the diagrams.
I'm just prepping the circle. I can work on it tomorrow.
If I sleep, the huntsman is going to come.
So, hang on a sec. There's 2 things there. You need to decide what to do about Dolores, and do you need to sleep, or what's your bag on that?
I probably should sleep, but that feels like a poor strategic choice.
And the huntsman comes only when you're sleeping, or how does that work?
The huntsman comes when you're vulnerable.
Okay, so is there a way to be... I mean, if you're around someone, does that not happen, or...
I shouldn't be left alone.
My thought is if you're flanked by a pair of wolves amidst a crew of people.
That's why he didn't come for us in the hedge. He was there. He saw us. He knows who you are.
And I don't think he would come for you if you're sleeping around friends. But if you're exhausted, that presents an opportunity. So you got to take care of yourself for the best of all of us. I mean, that kind of goes for everyone. We really can't afford edgelord shit. Just being honest. If we're going to pull any of this off, we have to be at our best.
I don't want anyone to be alone. I don't think the huntsman is above using the people I care about to lure me out.
Then let's make every effort to have that happen.
All right, y'all. It's going to be official now. The three of you are now honorary werewolves. We're a pack.
That breaks like a genuine smile, actually, on Aviva's face. And she kind of looks over to Jesse.
We can make it official in the seal when I figure out the rights for that. But for the time being, let's act like it, okay?
Yeah.
And that does mean that occasionally, one or two of us might have to go off alone.
2.
Sometimes it might have to be one, but we're going to let each other know when that happens, and we're going to be smart about it. Because a pack does things like that, and they're smart about it. In fact, the whole reason that I have the gifts I have is because occasionally I go off alone, but I come back.
You have so far.
And I'll continue to do so.
Hey, he's kind of proven himself now, hasn't he?
He's proven that he goes off by himself.
Right, fucking fair, but he's come back, and he's a lot more likely. We're all a lot more likely if we stay in contact.
I say it like this. Know the stakes, act with the stakes in mind. It's that simple.
If we come up with a plan of what we're going to do, not like, okay, we're going to 2 sleep at once, 3 are awake sort of plan, like a long-term, we're going to do this big thing.
I have a plan. John says straight-faced.
I can make it more likely to happen.
Then why don't I go over what I have in mind?
Okay.
There's a few things that we don't understand yet. But the more we can gather on this cult, the better off we are when it comes down to facing them. That said, we can't have the beshilu serving as a thorn in our side. Which means we have to support the wolves in taking them out, right?
As John makes the thorn in the side joke, she kind of pantomimes like she's playing cymbals, like she's doing a rim shot. But keeps listening.
John looks like that's some weird-ass magic. Notice that.
That's not inaccurate.
It's highly irregular. But anyways.
Don't derail me.
Which means that where the beshilu are going to need to be tracked and scouted, and the joint that they hide at is going to need to be cased. Jesse, I assume you've got that?
I do.
As long as Dan's waiting not too far away, you've got all the support you need in case something bad happens, which means you can stealth and you're not going solo.
That sounds like a good plan.
So we need to do that ASAP. The next thing that we need to do is we need to go down this list and summon the victims of this cult. I don't know how far we're going to get, but there's got to be someone that struggled enough where the ritual didn't come to completion. We've seen that once in the Uber, and maybe there's someone else. If we can get a hold of them, we can know what weapon they used, what ritual components were involved, where they did it, etc., etc.
And I can talk with them. Maybe even give them a bit of peace if that's possible.
I would prefer it because my ways can be unkind.
People deserve peace.
I don't know much about what my new purpose is supposed to be, but I know that I can help the dead.
No, for the less popular things, the Interthanator has to go down.
That sounds popular.
It requires a dagger made of obsidian that is in the underworld. I have a means of finding where it is, maybe even getting straight to it. However, what I will have to summon for the information is an uncomfortable presence.
What, is it like the anti-Thanatal? It's from the underworld, it couldn't be.
It is not from the underworld.
Oh, okay.
Is it the Abyss?
Stygia, the place that I am connected to. It is clad in the trappings of an angel, but it is a vicious, powerful being that demands consequence to those who would defy the laws of death.
Clad in the trappings?
Yes.
What is that? What is that?
It's a black angel.
Like it has wings or like
6 of
wheels or what's up?
To like a biblical angel.
An angel of Stygia, a place that doesn't exist in any Bible.
But ancient Greece?
Its appearance
In a
is
way.
what it is. I feel like we're...
Ancient Greece is probably one of the closest things to our histories and understandings.
So you gotta make a deal with the spirit. That's...
Well, if it's a spirit or it's an angel, there would be a difference, right? Or,
Why?
I mean, not everything's a spirit.
Yeah.
If it has some connection to a god or a god concept, or is that...
There are gods of Stygia.
Yeah, but like a higher power, or like a deity, or...
Are you asking me if it serves God?
Yes.
There is more than one truth of God. And if I'm going to be straight to the point here, one such truth is Father. Father is the symbol of oppressive faith, dogma, the way people make others suffer in the names of their gods.
Assholes.
But I think we all, on some level, can accept that is hardly the only truth of God. And I'm not going to pretend to understand how this angel comes to be and whether or not it is the angel spoken of in ancient texts. But what I know is that it is called the Black Angel, and it acknowledges that it is called a Black Angel. And its power over death is impressive, to say the least. Those are the things I know.
Aviva kind of folds her arms. Is biting something back, but in the way where it doesn't seem like she's entirely sure what she would even say if she were not to be holding back. Kind of fiddling with the Hamsa necklace that she wears. Staring down John like the concept might start making more sense, but it's not really lining up.
Aviva. Clears his throat. I won't do this if it's not something you're down for. But the golem moth has to go down, and this is the only way I know of getting to that dagger.
What? No, fuck it. We're asking the angel thing for where the dagger is.
Okay.
Whether it's an angel or not, or that word means something different now, whatever. That doesn't have anything to do with us fixing this.
It may be connected to something entirely different. Angelos. Now, before I crash for the night, I need to head out back, and I need to access, John kind of like tries to think on how he's going to have this make any sense. I have a place that I go to avoid the way my mother can manipulate fate. But it is not a physical place. It is a place in my mind.
Is it your dreams?
Yes.
I can go there with you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And
if I can be with you while you're sleeping, it makes it easier.
Okay. I need to go there. And I need to see the Akamoth. If my mother can summon a Golmoth and access things from the abyss somehow, it's true, she might be the one responsible for what happened back then. And I have to know.
What do you mean, see the Akamoth?
The place within my mind is made of the most important events in my life.
Before we do any of this, I want to do one little thing to help bind us together for all this. The three of you, and he points to Aviva, John, and Lola, put out your arm and roll up your sleeve.
Does it matter which hand, or...
No, not really.
What is this?
He lowers his head a little bit, and a devilish grin crosses his face. You just have to trust me.
So John actually puts his arm out before he says, you just have to trust me. And then John starts looking at Jesse and starts pulling his arm back some.
Does it?
You put it out already. Keep it out there. Don't make me get Dan to have to pull it out for you.
I'd like to know what we're doing.
Dan's pulling nothing of mine out. And John holds his arm out.
Does it matter if it's willing or unwilling? Does it make it better or worse?
You have to be willing.
Okay. So Lola, hold your arm out.
Aviva fixes Jesse with like a doubtful look, but she sheds the green anorak jacket and rolls up the tattered sleeve on her black sweater, giving over her hand.
Lola whips off her hoodie and reveals that she's wearing, in fact, a women want me, fish fear me shirt.
There's definitely an image of like cogs and wheels and eyes and wings like on the inside of his arm, kind of tattooed there that he just leaves out.
So, amongst our kind, the Uratha, Dan and I have brands. You can't see them right now because we're indoors, not in the moon. And even then, they shine brightest under our own auspice. Dan's full moon. They call him Rahu. I am an Araka. of the new moon, which is coming up. He kind of like takes a big gulp. But there's 3 others. And he walks over to you, reaches in his pocket, pulls out a silver Sharpie, pops the cap, and on your arm kind of scrawls some symbols. Muthra are spirits that haven't even awoken. They're just a kernel of something. So you guys are more of like just the awakening, like a Hursahim. So I'm calling you Ithea Hursi.
Ithea Hursi, he repeats back, as if it's some magical word.
And they are the keepers and seekers of hidden knowledge. Walks over to Viva. I am calling you an Elo Dothrasi.
Elo Dothrasi.
And he scrawls a symbol in silver Sharpie on your arm. This brand marks you that you're the one who's going to keep us accountable. Be the arbiter of when someone's bullshitting. And keep us back in check and in line.
That little small series of nods. There's still a little doubt, but a bit of a crooked smile, too.
John looks pretty confident in her to do that.
Yeah, Dan barks out a laugh at the description.
And then he comes over to Lola. And you are our Kahalath Hursi. Kahalath Hursi. And he marks that on your arm. They are the storytellers and the dream seekers. And he kind of gives you a hard look at the dream seeker part.
She gives a nod, kind of recognizing the weight.
And that means that we have a full pack of auspices.
As Jesse begins doing his workings, there is weight to the moment, but not to his words specifically. As Lola begins, she pulls a button off of her shirt, like a pin button. And she kind of just holds out her hand, asking for people's hands, and makes it very clear that there's a pin. I need your hand. This is likely what's going to happen.
And John seems good with it.
All right. For anyone willing, she draws a single drop of blood. It does no damage, just single drop of blood.
Aviva's willing as well.
Definitely had worse.
The Wolf brothers both put out their hands, I think.
Our goal is simple. We stop this cult. We save Ashville. As much of Ashville as there is to save. Lola invokes the spinning wheel contract. And I will roll to let you know how much of a bonus we get for every roll that goes into pursuing this goal.
By enacting the loophole of the contract of the spinning wheel, by taking a single drop of blood from each participant, it will eliminate the glamour cost. However, the willpower cost still must be paid. And there are 4 people you are enacting it upon. Correct?
Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
And long answer, that is exactly as much as I have.
Then you're going to be a little drained. Your pool is intelligence plus occult plus weird minus their resolve.
+3 from being a Ferrist and...
+3 from being a Ferrist.
This room, by the way, gives a +2 die bonus to all occult rules.
Okay, so we're looking at exalted level rolls here, folks.
This will last until the start of the new lunar cycle. I'm going to count that as basically 1 month.
Okay.
Right? So, here's why I have a problem, right? Like, This is wildly powerful.
It is.
Limiting it to your weird is the limiting factor on it.
Yeah.
I like applying it to everyone, so I'm going to break the rules here a little bit.
Okay.
You may apply it to everyone. Ordinarily, you may apply a maximum of 5 dice as a bonus or penalty. Mm-hmm. You may apply a maximum of 2.
Okay.
But you may apply it to everyone.
That sounds like a good compromise.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
This is very specifically a coming together moment, both emotionally and mystically. I like the resonance of everyone, it applying to everyone. But you may apply this to yourself as well as part of the pact.
Okay.
Okay? Let's do 1 roll for everyone. Who has the highest resolve?
3.
3.
Everybody's
It's
a
the same
resolve
for
3,
everyone.
so it's the same no matter what.
All right. 3.
All right. Mechanically, in the lead up to a confrontation with the cult, you will all apply +2 dice to anything that is directly related to leading up to a confrontation with the cult. Very specifically, the spinning wheel does not determine outcome, it just gets you there. So everyone when it comes to directly interacting with the cult and a lead up to a confrontation will gain +2 dice.
As Jessie gives the marks to everyone, Lola is there, but somehow her eyes are kind of wandering, crisscrossing a bit, almost like she's drawing lines between everyone, and then finding a spot in the center of all of them with her eyes. And as her eyes move, you can sort of feel sort of like a little firefly landing on each of you. There is nothing to see, really, but just this feeling of this tiny little warmth and this tiny little weight. And then you feel it fly, and you can see everyone else sort of where it would rest on each of them. Lola has, in her strange manner, sort of connected all of you toward a single point in the center.
All of you, one pack, one crew, one group moving forwards towards a goal, are starting to grasp the edges of the enormity of the task in front of you. But together, it feels like there may be a chance of some sort of success.
Jessie, I like the name, but you said brand. Is this coming off? I know it's Sharpie.
Oh no, it's permanent marker. It's on there.
Rubbing alcohol will take it off.
That's fair.
Or Purell. It's a little gentler.
I say you leave it on until I can figure out a way to get you into the Hasil.
We also have a month to get this done.
Well, I'm down to leave it on. It's just, tattoos would be a big deal for me.
It can come off. It just shouldn't.
Oh, no. As I said, I'm considering it.
Jessie turns over to John. You Thea are connected to this kind of moon. He kind of points to the sky, even though they're indoors and there's no windows. But it's about to become new moon. So if you have something to do, I'd do it now, while Luna is still kind of smiling blessings on you.
Okay. Drums his fingers and looks around. Tonight, mindscape. He looks to Lola.
She gives a nod.
I think the sooner we can figure out whether or not my mother was involved in that, the sooner we can either rule her out or start worrying that this cult's got big guns. And then we start summoning, or I start summoning.
Is there a name for when the pack is on the hunt?
Siskerda.
Gesundheit?
He smiles.
What'd you say?
Siskerda.
Siskerda. Okay. It's
Oh.
kind of metal.
It's pretty metal.
It is.
Siskerda, then.
In John's library, John, you've set up sort of a summoning circle, right? And everybody has begun deciding on a plan of action, or at least a couple plans of action. Jessie, Dan, were you staying here tonight, or were you heading home, or were you heading to the Hasil first? What were your plans?
You need to sleep.
I do need to sleep at some point.
You can sleep in the Hasil.
Is that safe?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay.
This one feels safe. Also, I feel like we should be nearby these people.
I mean, I guess.
Like, if they want to do stuff, and then we could be on sleep guard duty until they're ready, and then we can do our own things later in the morning.
Jessie does need to borrow the phone here, so he can call Aunt June, warn her to just be on alert, because there are possibly things trying to cross over, and I don't think that they're aware of the Swansons. But if they do become aware of the Swansons, I want her to be ready with a shotgun to protect her and Grandma.
June agrees pretty quickly to that, just understanding, like, even though she is your aunt, she's older, she probably knows a little bit more about stuff in the long run.
He explicitly tells her, be careful about any rats you see.
When it comes to Aratha, warning about that kind of thing.
And if she notices more any rats or rats where she shouldn't, to make sure to reach out to us, to give John a call. So he makes sure that she's got his number still, because I'm sure she probably does.
She does. Yep.
I mean, it's also my number.
Yeah.
She generally will call it to try and get in contact with Dan, so.
And if we're not there, John will know how to get in touch with us.
She agrees, and you know that your aunt not only has a couple of guns, but is pretty good with the gun. She's been wolf-blooded for a long time.
Jessie then suggests we go into the Hasil and then sleep there. And Dan decides that's a bad idea.
No sleeping in the one. We should be close to everyone else.
You never want to sleep in the seal. All right.
You're right. I don't. It's a weird place. And a lot of things don't like me there.
You just need to be a little bit more harmonious with your wolf side, man.
I think I remind them of things they don't like.
All right. So I think we'll probably head back to the apartment to get some much-needed shut-eye, knowing that these guys are probably safe in a group.
Okay.
We'll do that as long as you promise me that first thing in the morning we're going to the Hasil.
Sure.
All right.
I was just figuring on turning into a wolf here, and I was just going to sleep here.
So you guys head back to the apartment?
Or did you want to sleep in this weird...
I feel like we should stay nearby. There's the huntsman problem still, and God knows what else is going on, so let's... I was just going to turn into a... Yeah. Urhan.
I got a better idea.
I'm afraid.
Let's Urhan over to the apartment, grab some gear, come back here, and we can like sleep out in one of the rooms. We'll bring like some sleeping bags and like our pillows, because I don't want to use his pillows.
Sure.
All right.
What do you have against his pillows?
He's got a thing. It's...
I mean, your own pillows are obviously better, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to nail it on the head. I guess it really wasn't a thing.
Okay.
Swanson brothers shift down into the sleek wolf forms and trot off into the night to retrieve gear from the apartment that they sort of split share on, to return later to keep the group safe. Lola, Aviva, John, Jesse had said, with the sliver of the moon, maybe you should try and do something tonight. So what's your plan?
John rifles through the main room that he uses to practice his magic and retrieves black candles, bones from a bird, golden coins, and little odds and ends. Once he has everything gathered up, he, with his leg, kind of opens the back screen door, heads down like the big back deck, and starts moving along the trail, gesturing for Aviva and Lola to join him.
Are you planning on sleeping out here?
Depends on how you look at it. Not for a long time, though.
Am I going to enter your dreams while you are here?
Yes.
Do you have something that gave you comfort as a child?
I didn't really have comfort as a child.
She kind of looks intensely sad at that.
So as he kind of like winds around branches and kind of goes down this downhill path.
You can hear Aviva just kicking random objects as she's going along with you.
So the way that I get in is I reenact my brush with death. So it would help. It'll make things a little easier for me if you help hold me down. But if that's uncomfortable, you don't have to do it.
It's not hard.
Okay.
What do you mean, hold you down?
I drowned.
How did you drown?
As they're getting there, now he's like walking along train tracks. I used to do swimming.
I remember.
Well, there was an accident. I hit my head against something. We still don't, they never really found out what, but I ended up in the hospital, and
yeah, I remember stopping by and that shit.
Well, the truth is, I didn't make it.
So you both died?
Yes. But my aunt gave me a chance. And she's why I was able to walk the path to Stygia and become what I am. She passed that torch to me.
I'm sorry you both had to go through all that.
It's okay. It's all temporary. With that, they get to the train car. And right away, there are some clear oddities. The wheels are kind of gone. Everything about it it's more of like a stationary object overlaid on the old unused tracks. It still has all of the signs of the fire that was there. But as he kind of gets up to the door and opens it, inside there are like stairs and a path leading down, and it actually kind of expands deep even underneath the car.
Aviva has stopped. She seems to intend to answer Lola, but her attention has fallen onto maybe if there's still like a patch of the ground that looks a bit blackened. But as the door opens, she looks over and is like stealing herself a bit of a crack of the neck as if she could fight, a location. Does not expect there to be... It seems as if there's like... This is like a place of holding, really.
Yes, it is, like specifically, like this train car meets a mausoleum type of place. Like a weird hidden wonder.
Well, that's different.
And it just radiates death energies. It's a little cold. Even in the summer, you can see your own breath when you enter it. And some of the stone that is carved out is kind of shaped like a big bathtub.
We've all been through a lot. I'm sorry that, John, you probably were working towards telling me that part.
It's all connected for me. I don't know. I don't want to waste what I've got.
Yeah.
He lights the candle and uses it to kind of illuminate the inside of the room and show more of it. And that gold weird inlay that exists in the magic that he casts is present here.
Are you both going to be out asleep?
I will be physically in his dreams.
Okay.
I'll be under.
So I'll make sure that nothing goes down, I guess. I don't know how huntsmen interact with any of this, or if something would try to come after you while you're drowning again, but it's not going to happen.
I don't know exactly how what you do works.
Me neither.
But this is a place of power for death.
It's very wintry here.
Maybe it'll help, I don't know. I guess it would be. If it helps anyone, you'd think it would help me, right?
That's what I'm thinking. John takes off his jacket and his sneakers and very kind of carefully puts the sneakers up on a shelf by the door. He sets out all these like little coins that he keeps with him, and he starts taking off his jewelry. One thing he does specifically set out is a ruddy red jewel that you might recognize as the blood from the squad car. A gem made from the blood of a dead god. Might come in handy.
I mean, I can't disagree, but that seems so specific.
It is.
Is it purely just the rat blood? Or is it like ours too?
Well, they didn't look like he bled very much. So I'm thinking that it's largely rat blood.
Okay.
John gets into the makeshift tub, and he presses his hands to the sides of the insides of the tub and begins converting segments of the stone into water.
Is this your weird kind of revenge?
I'm just going into a mindscape. This is perfectly safe.
Aviva rolls her eyes, her gaze kind of like lingering on the tub, but she doesn't really explain what she meant.
Lola awkwardly pulls off her hoodie and turns her t-shirt around and then looks inside at the tag. Is there a name on the tag?
No, there's not.
Okay, that would have been convenient, but it's not. So Lola grabs John's hoodie as the tub is filling, and if this gets wet, is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. He starts like taking breaths as he gets ready to go under. You know, the perfectly safe thing.
The water continues to rise as John converts more and more of the stone. In the darkness of this, industrial mausoleum with the dark stone and the water, Aviva, there is a cold familiarity to the rising dark water and the permeation of death energies in the area.
Yeah, it feels like places I've been.
It's not the same. This isn't the waters of the rivers, but it's hard not to make connections. And then it goes up and covers John's face completely.
Before the water covers his face, Lola will tuck a sleeve around one side of him and wrap it around his chest and kind of look at him in the eye and be like, "Are you sure you still want this?"
He nods.
She secures it under his other shoulder and she puts both arms straight in the air and spins one like a clock hand, going completely haywire, and then slams it to a stop so that his jacket is locked in time.
The jacket that you were wearing is wrapped kind of carefully around your body by Lola, and then freezes in time, and you are held immobile under the water.
You see Aviva start pacing. She's not really willing to close her eyes or look away, but having to watch this is not fun.
There's this echo of a struggle and some bubbles of air that leave his mouth. And then he enters his trance into his own mind and leaves.
When his breathing changes, Lola slips her hand into the water, trying to disturb it as little as possible, and just rests her hand on his head. And as best she can do, she synchronizes her breathing with his.
Becomes very low, very shallow. For you, almost like you're holding your breath.
And she attempts to step into John's dreams.
Make the roll.
So this is a contested roll between John's Bastion's fortification.
Okay. John, you know that Lola is trying to enter your dream, correct?
I do.
Do you think you would trust enough to allow her without the contest? Or do you think subconsciously your mind would still try and keep anyone away from your secret and safe spaces?
I don't know.
Then we're going to roll.
Yeah.
If you're not sure, the answer is your mind is fighting.
It's his one.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
100%.
Okay, go ahead and roll, and I will roll for your Bastion fortification.
One success.
One success. So, the way I'm going to roll this here. You may enter along with him. John, you can feel someone pressing into your dreams. Subconsciously, you are fighting it. You may spend an additional willpower to allow her in with you.
I will spend the point of willpower.
Basically to steel yourself to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
To try to calm myself enough to be open to it.
And when Lola enters John's dreams, it is Lola without her mask. Whether it's because she knows John can see her regardless, or maybe the big talk finally made her feel a little at peace with people seeing what she is, made of flowers and limestone.
John, you are in the place that you so often live. Where are you?
When you arrive with him, you arrive to his Oneros. Within it, it is actually this realm that consists of 3 events, not actual locations. So they're more like scenes in a movie than actual places that you can walk to. And one of the scenes that you see, sort of as the 3 are blurred together before we go forward into one, a bunch of teenagers in dressed for a swim meet, panicking, a coach panicking, EMTs sort of trying to keep their cool as John is laying in the middle of it, lips blue and eyes blank. And then in another, there is John walking out of water, these eerily perfectly still waters under a twilight, a setting sun. up onto a beach where there are shells and bones and flecks of gold and obsidian shards of some sort of ancient architecture. And he is walking to a watchtower made of lead and gold that shines for vast distances. And John approaches, and you can see, tired and beaten, but somehow triumphant because he's made it to this moment, he begins to scrawl his name onto the tower. And in the other is him and Aviva walking along train tracks. I'll let you, Rebecca, go ahead from there.
Aviva's got a big blanket in her arms. It's partially obscuring her outfit, but she's actually dressed kind of nice, wearing a skirt. It goes, looks cute with the boots. They're new, actually. They're not torn to shreds. And not this time. She's got one hand free that she keeps using to try and steal things from John. It seems like maybe at first, somewhere earlier in the walk, she was genuinely just trying to get him to let her carry some of the stuff. Now it's just turned into a game to torture him. Just try to snipe in and snake her hand under his arm or over him to try to take something from him. It's just going to upset his balance, really. Because he's got the rest of the supplies for the picnic.
Classic Aviva.
Yeah. Well, she's different. Smiling a lot more. Laughing more. There's still bite and there's still sarcasm. You can tell. But it's not that deep-seated trauma and resentment that so often comes through. Just someone who has her own mind and isn't afraid to use it. As they're walking, it's sunset. Right at the beginning of sunset, really. The train car is ahead. Maybe John cleaned it out before they came to. There's not really a lot of debris or splinters around. Looks nice. None of the stuff that people kind of leave. Kids come here pretty often. There's often trash, bottles, that kind of thing, but not today. And as the two of them arrive there and Aviva spreads out the blanket, John tries to untangle all the stuff in his arms that he had to kind of barricade with his own hands so as not to drop. They get to talking, eating, chatting, having a nice time.
John looks on, and in this place, he looks like he is dressed for his own funeral. He's wearing a nice suit. He's very well put together, but there's sort of this eerie stillness to it. His hair doesn't respond when the breeze passes. It's like he's in the moment, but he's not really part of what's unfolding. He looks to Lola. And this is when it happened.
I'm getting that.
So the plan is at some point soon it arrives. And at the time I thought that it was me who conjured it with my magic, being clumsy and trying to show off by making Aviva a coin with the two of us on it. And maybe there's a chance because of the presence of the Gulmoth that it wasn't me who did it.
Gulmoth is like the thing that came out when we were lost in time, right?
Right.
It's a thing from the abyss.
It is. And an Akamoth is similar, but normally they're a consequence for those who abuse magic. They allow it to exist in this reality. Maybe it didn't come because of any abuse of magic, at least not by me. And maybe it was sent here.
She gives a nod. And she kind of loops her arm through John's. She knows this is going to be hard to watch. And she respects that he's making a choice to look at it.
It's okay. He promises, but it's an empty kind of feel to it.
It would be okay if you weren't.
I come here a lot. And he just looks on and waits for the Akamoth to arrive and just kind of adds, I spent a long time trying to learn what I can about the abyss and the things that come out of it. The thing that did this is still out there.
They don't go back without someone sending them, do they?
It's an ordeal.
Well, maybe some fresh eyes will help.
John starts, the John in the memory starts trying to breach the topic. Seems like he's practiced the words, but the reality of it makes it, a bit more awkward. Aviva's never in the mood to be helpful. She seems supportive, but, the word magic leaves his lips and she throws a strawberry at him. He tries to explain more and she finds more fruit projectiles, and eventually he stops her, expresses that he's serious. She dares him to prove it.
Lola, kind of sensing that things are about to happen, kind of like squeezes his arm with hers, being very careful that she's not hitting him with the thorns on her arms. It's unclear whether it's for him or her at this point.
There's a bit of back and forth, but eventually, with Aviva arguing, she keeps trying to frame it in academic terms, trying to get him to say it more scientifically or even in a literary way. She's approaching it as if it's a new topic at school now that she really can tell that John means it. She's still not quite believing him, but she's, trying. But it really comes back to that dare. And so eventually, John has to get ready to make the coin.
All right, here we go. John is, with Lola, going to begin activating mage sights to scrutinize what's taking place.
John, you have watched this memory. You have lived this memory more times than you can count. More times, I think, than you're sort of admitting to Lola.
Yeah, definitely.
But you've never really had a reason to look at it like this. And you open your eyes, and because this is your dream, your awareness, at least on some level, is also revelatory to the dream walker that's with you. And the two of you watching the dream play out as John makes a little coin, and everything seems to be going honestly pretty well for a second. And suddenly there is an awareness of the two of you watching this dream of something else. John, you have felt this presence over and over again, but you've never quite seen it like this. The Akamoth, at the time, was not something you saw. You just suddenly became aware that it was there as it made itself known. But the two of you now watching, with your enhanced understanding, with time, with research, and with your mage's sights up, floating unseen, as if summoned from nowhere, suddenly is... The best way to describe how it looks is if you took a human nervous system, all the nerves, not the eyes, not the teeth, not even the brain, just all the nerves, and you unspooled them into just this vaguely humanoid fractal shape, nerve endings and sensory inputs that seems aware. Where its eyes should be are just pits. Like, not even just, there are no nerve endings there, but nerve endings that spiral and spiral into holes that drop away into nothing. And what you see is this thing appear and look at the John in the memory, unseen by either of them at the time, and then begin to worm its nerve-ending tendrils, like unspooling and becoming less human and then reforming in and around Aviva.
At that, John fucking tenses.
Once this thing becomes apparent and John begins to react, Lola, as a Ferrist who is aware of the emotions of others, begins to glance back and forth between the John beside her and the scene playing out, getting kind of a glimpse of John's soul and all that he's experiencing here, seeing this.
There is a definite moment, one that you would know very well from how you usually saw this, where Aviva's laughter and the disbelief shifting slowly into belief at the sight of the coin just turned off. When you see that dulling of the eyes, it links up perfectly with the tendrils entering her.
You can see the nerve endings. They don't physically worm their way under Aviva's skin, but watching with your sight, watching this happen from multiple levels of reality, you see those nerve endings shape and almost like move within her, wrapping around her nerve endings as it puppets her. And the Achamoth, through Aviva, turns and begins to talk to John. The memory gets not hazy, this is very clear, but it berates him. It taunts him. It asks him to submit, but is never clear about what it's asking him to submit to do. It asks him to let it in, but it's never clear quite what it means or what it wants. And the more insistent it gets, it's not that it relaxes its control over Aviva. It's not that it lets her go. It's that you become aware that it has relaxed control enough so that Aviva is aware of what is happening to her, can feel external stimulus.
John had brought a few candles for when the sun had actually set and there needed to be some lighting in the train car. Didn't really have to think about bringing a lighter or anything like that. Already had the matchbook for cigarettes. He had just started. So the matchbook was already out on the blanket with everything else. And you see Aviva's movement, not really her own. Just a deliberate stretch, reaching out and picking up the matchbook, sliding it open, and lifting one into the light coming in through the window to show it to John.
The Achamoth, the thing controlling Aviva, gives John an ultimatum. Let me in or watch her burn. And John didn't bring it. Aviva didn't bring it. Aviva's hand reaches like around a corner, like through around the door, and there's just a small bottle of kerosene. What a strange, infortuitous thing to suddenly be here. And Aviva, who is allowed to feel and understand everything that is happening to her, you see her muster the energy or the will to say something to John that is her and not it.
Don't let it in. I don't know what's going on, but John, it's not worth it.
Lola looks to John's soul. What is he feeling based on what I would expect?
Past John and present John, unless I'm mistaken, are feeling very much the same things. Confusion, guilt. Past John is feeling terror, where present John is feeling...
John is obviously watching on eyes wide and tears kind of just rolling down his cheeks. But there's this like sternness to his expression. And unlike the John then, this John seems like he is treating this like a step taken towards a fight that he desperately wants.
Don't you dare let it in. I won't forgive you.
Based on how reactive John is to things normally, based on maybe what we can extrapolate what someone in that situation would be feeling, where does John fall? Is this the most emotion he may have felt since?
This is probably the strongest he's ever felt about anything.
Okay.
Now he tends to be comparatively numb, but this is that thing that still hits hard as ever.
Please, I'll be okay. No matter what it does to me, it's not you.
And the memory of John, the past John.
For a moment, John tries to be bold and refuses to accept the offer and is like, Aviva, hold on, and goes to reach for her.
And in one smooth movement, the Akamoth strikes the flame, pours the kerosene, and touches the match to herself.
And for a few horrific minutes, Lola and John watch as John in the past is forced to watch Aviva horrifically burned to death.
Lola tightens her grip around present John, but does not take her eyes away. But there are tears.
I wanted to show her so badly that I broke the rules. And then she was gone.
If it was your choice, would you have let her let it in? If your roles had been reversed?
No. I wouldn't let her.
I think we both know that when Aviva sets her mind to something, that's the thing that's going to happen. She found her voice in there, and I don't think that it was only that thing that struck the match.
I don't know how she did it, but you're right. I've wanted nothing more than to find her wherever she'd gone on to and see her and what my mother is doing. If she's involved with this cult, it could give me everything I ever wanted if I just let it happen.
But it's not really what you want, is it? I think your morals are stronger than your drive for self-gratification.
There's this little, kind of unassertive nod. I intend to follow all of the steps, the plan, and keep to it. But there's going to come a moment of truth. All of the things that I have always wanted are going to slip between my fingers. And submitting and giving her what she wants can stop that. And I appreciate the confidence you have in me, but I can't express enough that I don't know if I can do it.
I think the three of us here, I think we've all been shattered in different ways. I think you, Aviva, and I, we've all been unmade and then remade into something new. We are the epitome of hope for the future, even in the face of total destruction. We have been shattered and remade as a mosaic, and I think there's a great deal of strength to be drawn from that, John. We all chose our paths. They weren't chosen for us.
If only that was true.
Your aunt did choose you, but she chose you for a reason, because of who you are. And that means that your path was self-determined, because what other people do you can't control beyond who you are. And I'm not, for what it's worth, John, if you make the choice for you to make all your dreams come true by making the wrong choice for everyone else, I don't think that makes you a bad person. I think it makes you human. I think it means you make a mistake, and there are so many more of us that are willing to help you up when you fall. I think it's easy to dismiss that I don't understand the scope of what I'm talking about, because I was rebuilt different.
John just kind of watches the fire.
She came back to you.
Or she was given back.
At some point, it becomes an Ouroboros of determining whether it was someone's will or our own. And I choose to stop beating my own tail about it. I choose to stop. I chose to leave the hedge. You chose to walk and sign your name on the tower. Aviva chose her passenger. That we had the opportunity, maybe with someone else's orchestrations. But the choices were ours.
Maybe you're right.
Maybe I'm full of shit too, but it's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It kind of gives Lola side eye.
I'm not obligated to be helpful all the time. It's a lie. I mostly am.
At that, John looks for signs of his mother's handiwork.
John, You've opened your eyes to this in a way that you haven't before, and even if you have, you are stronger, more learned now than you ever have been before, and you have support here in this dream that you have never had before. Roll me an investigation roll. You may apply a spec and crime scenes to this.
That's what I was going to ask. Thank you. I have one more to spend, and we'll spend it.
Yep.
Yeah. I have an exceptional. I have 7 successes.
Wow.
Nice.
7 is more than an exceptional success. So as you've been watching this, as you've been talking to Lola, with your eyes open in the various ways that they can be, you notice things that you have never quite noticed before, see aspects of this scene. Now you're examining your own memory, which means you're examining not necessarily how things exactly happened, but how you perceived them happening.
Right.
And in those perceptions, you notice a few things. First and foremost, how serendipitous, what a bizarre twist of fate. Where did that random bottle of kerosene come from, John? I mean, people, just leave stuff out here. It's not unreasonable that somebody maybe brought like a plastic bottle full of kerosene, but it was right there. And you had, done a little prep work. You had ideas in your head about how this picnic would go. You cleaned up. What twist of fate would put something like there right in arm's reach of Aviva? The Akamoth, whatever it is called, was there one moment and not a moment before. And as she was burning, just at the period where it was too late to save her by any measure, disappeared again, coming and going as if by nowhere. It did not come in. There was no great rent in reality into which it fled. It was here and then it was gone. And at the back, when it appears, maybe you just didn't see, maybe it was your own trauma, your own emotional connection, even as a Moros to this event, stopped you from hearing it before. But in the moment that it appears, and the moment that it disappears, there is the slight metallic jangling of keys.
Fuck.
And with an exceptional success, you were trying to tell her that you were a mage, you were a Moros. You had death sight even then. There is a moment as you are watching, arm in arm with Lola, you recognize, Moros, the moment that Aviva dies. You can see the moment that it happens. And in that moment, almost frozen in time, you see another presence there. A long, shadowy presence of a woman reaching out a hand towards Aviva just as she begins to die. And the memory resets and begins anew.
John's gaze turns off to way down the train tracks where the two of them are kind of giggling and having a good time again.
Can I? Was this helpful?
He nods slowly, lips thin and expression becoming increasingly pissed off. So this was set up. My mom's behind all of it. She picked Aviva to die as a way of getting leverage over me.
How do you know it was your mom?
Because I can see the magic. I know her moves. I know those damned keys. This was her use of Arcana.
Okay. Then we know. And this wasn't your fault. And never was.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about her.
Do you want to do that here?
No. No, we should get back before I drown.
That would probably be good timing on our part then. John, this is gonna sound really stupid, but I'm very proud of all of you. You've handled a lot. You've fallen down and you've gotten up each time.
His expression kind of softens a little. Puts an arm around Lola and starts kind of walking down the tracks with her towards where he is and Aviva are coming from.
Lola walks with him, putting an arm around his lower back.
Thanks.
Thank you for trusting me to come.
He takes like a breath trying to clear his thoughts and awkwardly starts to like wipe tears from his eyes.
Lola wads her hoodie sleeve up around her thumb and carefully...
Thanks.
Yep.
I hate it when I make this shit run.
I know, right? There's a good makeup setting spray. I used to use it for dance all the time. I'll try and remember the name when we're out there.
Kind of like actually manages to laugh some and walks past John and Aviva. And then they're back.
Aviva, John is under the water, and Lola has completely disappeared. She said she was going to enter his dreams, and she meant that physically. And then you start to notice the flickering of the candles, this dark place, strange memories for you, and you are, for all intents and purposes, alone here. What are you thinking about?
There's not really a lot of room to pace. Doesn't alleviate much of the feeling that seeing John drown brings. She won't let herself look away that much either. Really just breaks taken to keep lookout. Paranoid glances at the candles as they flicker. And as the drowning, it gets worse, right?
It feels like a long time.
The sounds worsen. At some point, Aviva goes over, kicks aside the tub. Hey! There's no answer, and she debates the merits of trying to drag him out. She doesn't know what it will do, and that stops her. And she tries yelling again. You're not supposed to really... Gets a bit more desperate. Starts trying stupid shit. By the time that they're coming back, if they're coming back, Aviva has run over to where John has stored his sneakers and grabbed one of the Sky Jordans and is threatening to put it in the water.
You run up to the shelf near the door to get the sneakers and...
Just the weirdest desperation of like, I'll do it! It's not near the water. It's like a foot away.
Roll me a wits composure.
Okay.
For a perception check.
3 successes.
You grab the Sky Jordan, ready to, ruin his kicks.
Commit violence.
Such fuckery.
The flickering light of the black candles catches your attention for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you watch the candle flame flicker as if in a dream, moving ever so slowly.
That turns her attention fully away from the tub and she approaches the candle.
And it's not just the candle, it's all of them. It's everything in here. It's like time itself has slowed.
Who's there?
Funny to see you here. And a tall, good-looking older woman steps around a corner. You are pretty good at picking up this kind of stuff. It is as though she appeared from nowhere. Like she stepped out of reality itself. 1 second, there is none of that feeling of like, oh, somebody might be around, something. And then she is there. And she looks you up and down appraisingly. And you recognize Ramona Taggert, or Ramona Castro, John's mom. And she looks at you and then looks past sort of down the little stairs towards where John is drowning in a bathtub and goes, "Welcome back to town. I had spoken with Dolores Gardner. I was aware that John had guests. How have you been, dear?"
Aviva squares her posture towards John's mother. And very slowly, calmly, leans to one side to put the shoes down on the steps next to her with one hand. And she straightens back up. She never loses eye contact, not even as she cracks her neck to one side and then all around. And that's when, in one moment, she intertwines with her geist, enters the twilight through the shroud, and stutter steps directly towards the invader.
To the perception of those who cannot perceive death in the ways that Aviva or John can. There is the ghostly darkening of Aviva's countenance, and she flickers in reality, and suddenly, like a 2000s horror movie jump scare, is right in the mayor's face.
Discorporating and recorporating to get right nose to nose.
And the mayor flinches. She actually, she tries to hide it pretty quick. She's John's emotions are deadened. Hers are mastered. So she would like to believe. But you get the impression that the sudden aggressive movement and the sudden ghostly flicker actually, startled her a little bit. She was, not expecting you to do that. You also get the impression that she's slowly... She might be hiding it a little bit, but she is coming to terms with the fact that you are here at all.
So I hear you're on the wrong path. And it seems like now you're in the wrong place. So we can have a discussion about this if that's what you really want. But we're about to find out a lot about you.
She arches an elegant eyebrow at you, gives a little smirk, and almost like a condescending sad smile. You very clearly mean a lot to my son, but it is a little silly for you to talk to me about paths. I know where his path leads, and I'm just a mother who loves her son, trying to forestall him having to feel any more pain. She gestures around at the inside of this mausoleum to you that he has built. Wouldn't it be easier if he didn't have to feel these things, as he inevitably is pulled along towards the future that he is predetermined to have?
Wouldn't it be easier if you actually, I don't know, didn't put him through enough pain yourself for no goddamn reason? 'Cause you seem real loving.
Don't I? Isn't it?
No, you don't. And Aviva's kind of pressing forwards on that. If there's space between the two of them, there's not now.
Okay. Tips of shoes touching, right in her face.
Yep.
Having gotten over the initial jump scare, right? Having, sort of settled herself, she looks back at you and has not at all lost that just raw condescension in her bearing. And there's something underneath the condescension. It's not just she's condescending to put on a face. This is a woman who truly, deeply believes that she knows way more about anything. That she is so knowledgeable that she is irrevocably, unchangeably right in all ways. And so she looks at you and goes, pain is just the byproduct of dissonance between who we think we should be and who we are. And I am just trying to help him to remove and rectify that dissonance. If anything here is causing him pain, Ms. Caradonna, it isn't me.
You can set the example first. Rob, headbutt.
Aviva, roll me your initiative.
I have a 6.
Okay, so she's going to be going first.
Yeah.
But you are making the first strike. Just means she's not getting fully caught off guard or whatever. You may roll your attack.
I have 2 dots of the merit retribution, which means that...
Is a fighting style, correct?
That is a fighting style.
Dope.
Aviva is using and taking names.
Hell yeah.
Fueled not just by muscle and adrenaline, but by righteous indignation. So that's going to be an all-out attack, and I am going to use my last willpower.
Oh shit, okay. Anti-hero, you will definitely gain 1 back. Apply an unconventional, ignoble, or blunt solution to a current problem.
Yeah.
You're trying to headbutt John's mom. Yeah, that's... So you will regain a single point of willpower. You'll be rolling strength, plus brawl, plus 3 dice. You will not gain the bonus from Lola's spinning the wheel because this is personal. You are not trying to make strides towards uncovering and confronting the cult by your hissy fit.
Righteous hissy fit.
Shut up, John's mom. This ain't a hissy fit.
You will gain You will not, because you're fighting style, you will not gain the 2 dice for going all out because you have that righteous indignation.
Does my spec and brawl of payback apply?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it has never applied more. Extra die. And then, Ghost, in this place of deathly power, I am going to give you a 2 die bonus. Then you will subtract 9 dice from the attack roll.
Oh, kick his ass, Seabass!
That does leave me with a dice.
Okay, then you may roll the die and look for a success like normal.
No luck.
You go to headbutt her, and then you will take 5 points of bashing damage as you fully are about to make contact with her nose. You know it, you feel it, she is not defending herself. And suddenly your head smashes into the side of the train car as space warps around her, and suddenly you are throwing your head full on into the metal side of the car.
Oh, fuck!
You are facing away. She has not moved, and she's continuing to snidely arch an eyebrow at you. Are you finished? Or can we have a conversation about my son's future?
I'm not finished at all.
Yes, Queen.
Yes.
I can do this all day.
It's America's ass.
She will take her action to monologue at you.
Feels on brand.
Fucking villain.
Oh, she's so good at this.
I have seen the future, Miss Caradonna. I know the pain that he will drag himself through because of your presence. It would be so much easier if he just didn't know you existed. And I can do that for him. And I don't even have to make it painful for you. Wouldn't it be easier if you forgot all of this and could just live your life? I'm offering a painless path forward into the future for all of you. It's your action.
I've never been a big fan of painless when it comes to making things right. And I'm basically try and use the wall that I've smashed up against to launch myself towards her to try and land a punch this time.
Make your attack roll, -9 dice.
Mm-hmm. Going all out, she is not using her fighting style.
Okay. You're spending willpower this time?
I mean, yeah.
You're not going to gain it again for the same trigger, but...
I know.
But she want to hit this bitch so bad.
This time that gives me 3 dice. 1 success.
A few things happen at once. Aviva, to your perception, she continues to stand there with that smug look, and you throw the punch, you launch yourself in all your righteous fury, and she continues to stand there looking smug as you can feel once more space itself start to bend around her. Describe to me how you break through and actually land a hit on this woman.
Let's say you do get him to forget about me. Let's say you get me to forget about all of it. There will still be people to protect him, even when I fail. But for now, let's see what a smirk tastes like.
The only people who he has to...
coming
and then she gets hit.
Is that no... But never has an ass beating been more deserved.
Aviva interrupts the monologue by throwing a desperate fist.
Despite the warping effects that she seems to always have around herself, your fist, through sheer willpower, makes it through, hits her in the nose, and draws blood. And in that instant, the second that you draw blood from her, the last thing that you register is she looks outraged. She looks pissed.
I'm gonna grin.
Oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
And with her exceptional success, time slows to an imperceptible crawl around Aviva. As soon as she draws Ramona Castro's blood, it is like she is frozen in time, unable to move. And Castro, you can tell she's saying things to you, but you cannot understand them. because she is moving impossibly fast, and even the flickers of the candles are frozen in time from your perspective. You cannot move. Your speed, your defense are zeros. You cannot take actions. You are frozen in time. And then you start to understand what she is doing outside of the frozen time. She is, as a master of so many things, unweaving agreements, tearing apart contracts, and undoing the very essence of the bargain that you made with the final girl. Ripping the two of you apart. And that, outside of that bubble of frozen time, is when John and Lola reappear from the water. You guys can roll initiative.
Oh boy. Can he? He's trapped under the water till I drop the cantrip.
He's still gonna be rolling initiative.
Okay.
Turns out Masters of Mind and Fate can do some fucked shit. I'm actually surprised you drew blood. I'm legitimately impressed.
I get to be paused with a grin.
You do. And you can tell, even in that moment, she's fucking pissed about it. And what you see from under the water, John, is her incanting and moving. In a lowered hand, she is fingering a ring of keys, each one etched with a different rune, spinning rings around her other finger, very like you do. Her once immaculate, pencil skirt and suit and blouse are just kind of they shouldn't be as frazzled as they are, but Aviva actually fucking hit her, and she's very much my perfect hair. I have one out of place now because I am fucking pissed, and there's a trickle of blood coming down her face as it is very quickly apparent to you that what she is doing, not from the same arcana that you understand, but as a master of death, you can see what is happening to the bound. What are you guys' initiatives?
5.
12.
Damn.
There's really some spirit,
guys, Jesse, I feel like we're listening out on a combat.
Yo, we're almost home when Dan's just Horatio! Just smashes Jesse in the face and just starts sprinting to the house.
His little booty shorts.
We're in wolf form right now, we're good.
The chain thong.
I have an initiative of 9.
Well, she is currently busy in the middle of a quite complicated spell. It is not easy to do what she's doing, but she's doing it.
Okay, am I still being held underwater?
Currently, you are still being pinned underwater by a time-frozen jacket. But you are underwater. You can act. You're just grappled.
Yeah, it's not great. Surprised by what I see, I gulp in a bit of water and start reaching above and trying to signal to Lola to free me, and I will hold my action for now.
On Lola's turn, she immediately drops the cantrip that's keeping John drowned, and with her hand on his head, just kind of grabs a fist of his hair and pulls him above the water.
Great. John, you're holding
She
it.
also spends a glamour.
Okay.
For reasons.
Would you like to tell the ST what those reasons are?
Mom's kind of a bitch, and I think she needs to know that she's not the baddest bitch in the room.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I should have specified.
No,
I am starting a thing, but it will be activated next round.
Okay, gotcha. So you managed to pull John out of the tub and begin manifesting the otherworldly glamour of your being.
Mm-hmm.
John is going to reach for the black candle that's flickering and use it. He's going to blow the candle out. And when he does, he is going to use that as a tool to perform magic. And what he intends to do is throw Aviva into twilight.
Okay.
Try to basically strip his mom's access to her for the moment.
Go ahead. Make me the roll.
I have 2 successes.
Okay.
And he blows the candle out with some of the smoke kind of heading towards Aviva and attempts to shunt her safely away from whatever it is that his mother's attempting, or actually, I think he knows exactly what she's attempting.
Yes.
To try to get Aviva out of the reach of her magic.
Aviva and the final girl are thrown from the material plane into the twilight. And while she remains frozen in time, your mother's ability to start pulling apart the Geist and the Sin Eater is interrupted. And on her turn, she looks over at you in the dark and sighs, and on her turn will monologue. Honey, this isn't... You know you can tell me things, right? You didn't have to hide your little girlfriend from me. Hello, Lola. It's nice to see you. And she tucks the loose hair back behind her ear and, uses her hands to straighten out the, smart suit jacket that she's wearing.
How does her vibe compare to Mother's?
They're very different vibes. There are similarities in the... you are aware of what an abusive, controlling mother who only thinks about herself is.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is... Fuck it, roll me an empathy.
Empathy what?
Probably wits. No, roll me a manipulation empathy.
1 success.
The porcelain mother looked at her quote-unquote children as playthings. She had a mercurialness to her where, while she was quite literally an abusive mother, she never saw you as, now that you're away from her, she never really saw you as people, really. You were playthings. Like toys. She was playing house, and you were made to play house with her. So while she took on the trappings of an abusive mother, there was an alienness to it. This is an abusive mother. This is someone who truly believes that she is trying to do what is best for her child and herself. She is just so sure of her purpose and her reality that to argue with her is not arguing the mercurial nature of one of the gentry. It is arguing against the vastness of the cosmos. It is arguing against reality itself. That is how she sees it. So they are similar vibes, but there's a very distinct difference in how Ramona is looking at John and the porcelain mother looked at you.
Okay.
It is your action.
So Lola takes on her terrifying beauty form, her voice distorting slightly, and she looks right at Ramona. You are so scared of pain in the name of growth that you do not see it for what it is. It is a force that ennobles and uplifts, and you are frightened. And I'm gonna try and paralyzing presence her.
What is the resistance on this?
She gets composure plus weird.
In place of weird, it is her gnosis.
Okay. I'm gonna try a new method of shaking dice because there's 15 of them. Four successes.
She also has 4 successes.
She takes on the appearance of someone who has seen far more time than her, who has seen far more pain than her. She does not grow larger, but she does grow more imposing, and there seems to be a wind blowing autumn leaves about her presence and flower petals.
And Ramona, who in this moment you start to realize has seen much more time than you, stares right back. And you get the impression that this mage, this person, has mental defenses far beyond what you had anticipated. You are a Ferrist, and you could feel your presence begin to affect her. But from somewhere within herself, there is some sort of mind defense, some sort of bolstering of her own spirit. And she looks at you with ageless eyes. And it's funny that you made the comparison between Mother and Ramona, because for just a second you see that same perception of time that the gentry don't have in Ramona's eyes. And she looks at you, doesn't take any actions, just in response says, "Be quiet, child, before I call your keepers." John, it's your action.
Does she appear to have stopped casting?
She's not currently casting the thing that she had been casting, no.
Yeah. John stands up and takes a deep breath and kind of wipes the wet hair out from in front of his eyes. He looks at Lola and kind of raises a hand, sort of promising that if we can avoid a fight, like kind of like gesturing as if like promising that let's hold off on fighting for a moment. And looks at his mother. "I know what you did. And if this comes to a fight, we will definitely fight. You've given me every reason to, but I want to know why."
She sighs. "Sweetheart, you just don't have the perspective that I do to understand that in the grand scheme of things, what I am trying to do is save you so much pain. And it's okay that you know, because I have all the time in the world, and pretty soon you won't have to. It's okay." And she steps sideways and disappears. And John, you had your sights up, you had your prime sight up and everything. There is no rippling of space. There is no rippling of time. There is no jangling of keys. She is here, and then she is gone, as if she's not that she is a master of time, that she has stepped through a gate that only she can see, and is gone.
When she's gone, Lola drops her.
Aviva time speeds back up in the twilight. You had Shroud up, you can actually just step back across.
Aviva's gonna take a sec and look over to the guys. "You alright?"
There is a panic and an anger and a confusion that is slowly subsiding from the final girl, and a shadowy hand reaches out, almost in a mirror of the scene that John and Lola just watched.
Aviva takes it immediately, clapping her hand into the guys.
And long, shadowy fingers entwine in yours. And then she fades into her regular being around you, maybe hovering a little closer than she usually does.
"Sorry about that." And with that, Aviva steps back through.
He looks up at Aviva, wiping water from his face.
"I know I told you I wasn't gonna hit her, but not out here ready to let her make you forget everything. Sorry if that's selfish."
Wait, hold on, what are you talking about?
It's what she wanted. She wanted to make you forget me, me forget you. She wanted all of us to forget it all.
So then that's a threat to her. She wouldn't show up herself otherwise.
And in this moment, maybe because you had your eyes opened, you were thinking about your mom, you were talking about, maybe it was just seeing her step away like that. John, you're very familiar with the concept of paradox. You were telling the others about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother is a master of many things, fate being one of them. And sometimes the paradox, if you stretch something too far, things will snap back. The abyss will leak in, or there will be changes, or sometimes there is like a flavoring of whatever you are doing will be perverted or inverted in some way. And so if one were to stretch too far, manipulating the bounds of fate, a potential paradox, snapping back on that fate would be to serendipitously bring together the things that would fuck you over.
That's what the circle was. She's trying to get me to side with her before we take her down. It's all blowing up in her face. The signs. She's losing control.
losing her goddamn teeth the next time I see her.
Maybe. I think this plan's gonna work. As long as nothing fucking crazy happens in the meantime.
Nothing crazy that we can't control. I feel like more crazy stuff is gonna happen.
John, Aviva, Lola, you guys emerge from the woods back to John's house after, well, everything that happened at the train.
Aviva's bruises are already blooming. It seems like maybe she might have a good heal time, but she's been pretty well bashed up. It's dark colors, all down her right side. Her face... She sweeps a hand through her hair, trying to fix it. It's real fucked up, but there's a stupid ghost of a smile that pops on every now and then, and she tries to put it down.
Lola looks withdrawn and absolutely exhausted after the just tumultuous emotions that were being thrown around, and the implication from your mom, John, that she could just ring up her keepers.
Yeah.
And as the three of you approach the house, you see the two sleek wolf forms slinking out of the shadows. Jesse, Dan, you guys have little like backpacks, or what did you guys grab?
I think we actually grabbed like some bags that are like hanging out of our jaws at this point, just like walking along with like a little like bug out bags.
Probably if we got like a sleeping bag or anything, like those metal frame backpacks is probably the easiest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine that we're basically bringing camping gear for the most part. I think Jesse actually probably brings like a little like camping hammock, and Dan probably brings an absurd amount of food.
That's correct. My clothing doesn't take up much room.
As you guys approach the house, you smell and spot your three friends coming out of the woods behind John's house and smell the faint scent of blood on the air.
Start shifting back into human form. Just from my big tawny brown wolf form to my regular Dan form.
Jesse gives a quick nod to Dan and kind of sprints off, still in wolf form, in like a wide arc. Basically, Dan knows that he's kind of scouting around, ready to flank from the other side if there is actually trouble.
As you're flanking around, it's not a lot, but the smell of blood is coming from Aviva and the three of them as they walk.
You guys good?
Grunts at the question.
I'm gonna be real, I don't really know how to answer that.
Are you good now?
We got some information.
Okay.
We're in need of rest. And I think everyone's okay. He says, looking at Aviva's bruises.
From behind you guys, you hear the padding footsteps of a wolf coming out from like the shadows behind. Who drops a bag from his mouth and kind of makes some weird warbling kind of dog noises that don't really mean anything to you.
John picks up the bag. I've got space. We all post up for the night. Get some sleep. Dawn's coming soon enough anyways.
Sounds like a plan. My body is weary.
Forgetting Ashville is an actual play Chronicles of Darkness podcast set in the fictional New England town of Ashville. Aviva Caradonna was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Dan Swanson was played by Tim Davis. Jesse Swanson was played by Garrett Gabbey. John Taggert was played by Lex Lopez. Lola Gardner was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Rob Muirhead. Recording and editing by Rebecca Steigelfest. The music used in this episode was by Victoria Borodnova. You can find their music on pixabay.com. Forgetting Ashville uses the 2nd edition Chronicles of Darkness rule sets, including Changeling the Lost, Geist the Sin Eater, Mage the Awakening, Werewolf the Forsaken, and other Chronicles source materials, with a few select house rules. The Chronicles of Darkness are produced by Onyx Path Publishing. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at @PathOfNightPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/PathOfNightPodcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show at coffee.com/pathofnight. See you next time, Outsiders.
I specifically said I wouldn't.
You weren't gonna kill her.
No, I said I wouldn't beat her up.
It's
true. You immediately broke that. 2 hours later.
Listeners,
be a liar, doesn't it?
that was a lie.
Fucking Danny Phantom goes on a rampage.
Is this what pain feels like?
Yeah, literally, yes, yeah.
Someone would
How
turn home.
dare you? I am a master of time, space, and fate, and you punched me.
I just love the idea of like, what was that for?
I'm being reasonable.
And I'm being unreasonable.
I think I've seen this documentary. Mom rips apart son's goth girlfriend while he's asleep in the room.
Mom goes crazy on son's girlfriend.
And at the very end, he wakes up and is like, Mom?
So terrible.
I'm sorry for my crimes, guys.
I feel like this is a series of excellent choices.
That's
all
right.
around.
You did all of this.
Also, if you hit her, this makes it a very good chance for me to hit her in the future.
Tim's not sorry for my crimes.
No.
I feel like crimes implies a level of guilt.
Dan's gonna be like,
very
so on a
guilty
scale
right
of 1 to 10,
None of us think you are guilty of shit.
This whole side of the table is like just sitting here, just like,
Do it again. Do it again.
Violence is an answer.
we're learning so much.